Hey guys, tonight we drift into the divine haze of morning. But not just any morning. You're waking up in the personal chambers of Aphrodite herself. Yes, that Aphrodite. The air smells like rose petals dipped in warm honey and sprinkled with a touch of sea breeze. The sunlight doesn't shine here. It glows with that creamy Instagram-filtered quality people spend hours trying to replicate. And somewhere in the distance, harps, obviously. You're lying on what appears to be a bed woven from swan feathers and enchanted silk. It's suspiciously perfect. Honestly, it's the kind of softness that makes you wonder how mortals ever accepted the concept of regular cotton. Sheets. You sit up slowly, trying not to disturb the constellation of petals floating above you. Yep, floating. Physics takes a break up here, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. I'd love to know if this story is helping you wind down in Manchester at midnight or in Manila at noon. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your feet dangle over the edge of the celestial bed, toes brushing against clouds that feel suspiciously like cashmere. As you step down, your foot lands in a puddle of scent. Roses, yes, but not the supermarket kind. These smell like they were grown in the dreams of nightingales and watered with tears from a romantic Greek tragedy. Historians still debate whether these mythical rose varieties actually existed or were the invention of overly dramatic poets. The room itself is a mosaic of soft pinks, creams, and golden highlights. A breeze, probably enchanted, moves the sheer curtains just enough to give the illusion of motion, like you're inside a living painting. And in the center of it all is a pedestal, where a small bottle glows faintly. It's not the perfume yet. That comes later. This is the pre-perfume, the essence of anticipation. You stretch and the air reacts. A harp string plucks itself. A dove coos approvingly from somewhere above the vanity. You're not quite sure how you got here, but you're certain that leaving wouldn't be allowed until the morning routine is complete. And Aphrodite, she's not even here yet. That's when you realize the entire room is preparing itself. Curtains shift, lighting softens, a fresh bouquet of peonies arranges itself in a vase shaped like a heart being lovingly stabbed by a golden arrow. Subtle, the vanity mirror flickers to life, shimmering like a surface of water kissed by moonlight. A faint giggle echoes. Not spooky, just divine. Like the universe shared a private joke, and you were lucky enough to overhear it. Suddenly, there's movement. Outside, not footsteps, more like presence. You know she's approaching, but instead of grand trumpets or chariots pulled by dolphins, it's a rise in atmosphere. The room stands a little taller. The air leans toward expectation, and even the petals floating in the air seem to sparkle harder. She hasn't entered, but she's near, and this is just her morning. You take one last glance around the room and notice something strange. The pattern on the wall near the bed changes slightly when you're not looking directly at it, almost like it's watching you back. There's a known myth where Aphrodite's chambers are sentient, subtly changing to match the mood of their visitor. Scholars remain divided on whether this tale originated from temple architecture or just some particularly poetic cult followers. You float, there's no better word for it, toward the mirrored vanity. The petals part gently to let you pass, and the mirror tilts ever so slightly. Your reflection looks calm, better rested than you deserve to feel, with the faintest shimmer to your skin. Is it divine intervention or just excellent humidity control? The mirror ripples slightly, as if it's considering how to reflect you today. Then it settles, and your face looks not quite yours, not anyone else's either. It's as if the mirror decided to present your idealized self. Bit much? Sure, but when you're in Aphrodite's domain, exaggeration is kind of the default. Suddenly, from the left, a gust of sweet air and the light flutter of silken wings. Pigeons? Nope, those are her doves. They circle above, dropping a few more. Petals, as if nature itself is eager to impress. One lands on your shoulder and gives an approving nod before fluttering off. Not your average bird encounter. You run your fingers over a delicate bottle on the vanity labeled "For Confidence, Not Conceit." It's warm to the touch, like it's storing a compliment. The scent that escapes when you unstopper it briefly is intoxicating, notes of orange blossom, warm vanilla, and something ancient and unknown, like the memory of being adored. You hear her laughter, soft, amused, layered like a perfect melody, and know she's at the threshold. But of course, she won't enter yet. Aphrodite is a goddess, of timing as much as beauty. You take a deep breath and realize this morning isn't just about her routine. It's about seduction, of the senses, of the moment, and maybe of truth itself. And you're here not to observe, but to become part of it. The mirror greets you with a shimmer, as if recognizing your curiosity. It tilts forward, just slightly, and the surface ripples like a pond, touched by a gentle breeze. You lean in, expecting to see your reflection, but it doesn't show you what you wore to bed, or the sleep-must version of yourself. No, the mirror offers something far kinder, a vision of how you'd like to be seen on your best day through the eyes of someone who truly adores you. Bit unfair, honestly, but we're playing by divine rules now. This isn't your regular morning prep with crusty mascara and 3 different lighting conditions. The mirror in Aphrodite's chamber doesn't just reflect, it interprets. It catches. The curve of your smile, the softness in your gaze, the tilt of your head that says you have secrets worth uncovering. According to one myth, this mirror was forged by Hephaestus himself before the whole net of adultery drama, back when he still gifted her things out of love and a deep hope she'd one day be impressed. Historians still argue over whether this mirror actually existed, or if it's just an elaborate metaphor for ancient beauty rituals. But the thing is, metaphors don't usually wink at you when you look away. You study your reflection again. It shifts slightly, not like a morphing face, but as if it's choosing which version of your confidence to show today. There's the walking into a room and owning it look, the mysterious stranger in a silk cloak aura, and of course the classic, "Oops, I'm effortlessly glowing and didn't even try" vibe. On the vanity table beneath the mirror lies an array of items that look like they belong in an enchanted Sephora. There's a lip tint made from crushed poppies, a pot of shimmering cream labeled "Moonlight in a Jar," and a row of tiny vials, each marked with emotions: joy, melancholy, desire, curiosity. You don't dare open any yet. Instead, your attention is drawn to a hairbrush sitting in a cradle of velvet. It's carved from pearl shell and has bristles made of something that glows faintly. You pick it up, and as you brush, strands of your hair fall into perfect place, like they've finally agreed to cooperate after years of passive-aggressive rebellion. A warm breeze wafts through the chamber, and the petals above swirl lazily, forming vague shapes. One of them looks like a heart, Another resembles a perfectly arched eyebrow. A soft voice echoes from behind the mirror. Not spoken words, but more like thoughts gently nudged into your mind. Beauty is not how you are seen, it is how you are remembered. Yeah, okay. Deep. Might steal that for a caption later. You hear the faint patter of footsteps. Delicate, like someone walking on marshmallow clouds. You turn, expecting to see Aphrodite entering in a billow of chiffon and light, but instead you see a dresser open itself. A pair of slippers floats toward you. They're translucent, barely more than a suggestion of fabric, and cool to the touch when you slip them on. They seem to adjust themselves to your feet, cushioning your soles with what can only be described as condensed morning fog. Once they're on, you feel lighter, not metaphorically, physically. You take a step and realize you're no longer walking on floor tiles, you're gliding just above them. The sensation is somewhere between skating on butter and floating in a warm dream you never want to end. Mythology says these slippers were a gift from the Herae, goddesses of the seasons, who once helped Aphrodite dress during a particularly dramatic morning after a party on Olympus. As you move, the chamber responds. Curtains draw open with soft whooshes, revealing a sky that isn't sky so much as a living oil painting, sunrise swirls of lavender, peach, and golden cream. It's unclear whether time moves the same way here, or if Aphrodite just prefers her mornings to last as long. As she pleases, a gentle chime echoes, low, clear, and musical. That's your cue. The doorway ahead opens into a corridor, wrapped in marble and draped in silks that somehow never wrinkle. You float forward, slippers hushing any sound you might have made, and you enter what can only be described as the heart of her sanctum. The scent here changes. It's still floral, but now there's a depth, resins, amber, maybe a touch of ancient cedar. It smells like secrets too old to tell and stories too beautiful to forget. They say that scent is the most powerful trigger of memory. Some scholars argue this is why Aphrodite focused so intensely on fragrance. It wasn't vanity, it was strategy. You're drawn to another pedestal in this new room. Upon it rests a golden tray holding a small scroll. You unfurl it carefully. It's not written in Greek or Latin or any language you recognize. Instead, the symbols shimmer and shift depending on how your emotions change. When you think about love, the scroll glows. When you recall heartbreak, it dims. This scroll doesn't contain instructions. It responds to your intentions. Trippy. Suddenly, the mirror reappears, no longer confined to the vanity. It hovers now, following you like a loyal pet, rippling slightly. This time, when you look into it, you see not yourself, but her, Aphrodite. She stands in another chamber, arms lifted as rosewater pours from unseen vessels. Her eyes meet yours through the glass, and she smiles, not the polite kind, but the one that says, "I've been expecting you." And just like that, she turns away, and the reflection fades. The corridor ahead beckons you with the elegance of a red carpet rolled out by clouds. Every step you take is soundless, feathered, like walking on an Instagram filter that erases your Monday mood. You pass beneath a ceiling that seems made of dawn itself, soft streaks of apricot light painted, with lazily drifting feathers. Somewhere high above, a flute plays itself. Your fog slippers barely skim the polished marble, and with each step, the air becomes denser with scent. Roses, jasmine, crushed nectarines, and something you can't quite name but instinctively trust. It smells like the memory of a kiss you weren't sure actually happened. You finally enter a chamber framed in pearl-pink columns with gold vines that twist gently as if enjoying their own aesthetic. In the center is a small stool floating just above a bowl-shaped basin carved from alabaster. The water inside is impossibly clear and lightly steaming. You step forward, and without touching anything, the fog slippers dissolve into a puff of silver mist. Very considerate. The basin glows faintly, and the scent of mint and lavender rises, wrapping around your ankles like a cat in need of attention. The temperature of the steam adjusts intuitively, just right. This is the spring of eternal freshness, and it's more than a spa moment. Legend says that the spring is fed by the dew collected from mountaintop kisses, yes, literal kisses, and moonlit laughter. It's a stretch, but the ancient Greeks were nothing if not poetic. Archaeologists have tried for years to locate the real version of this spring, assuming it was symbolic of early hygiene rituals. But the myth insists that this place cleanses not dirt, but doubt. You reach out and cup your hands. The water is weightless, almost ticklish, and cool like the first sip of iced tea in July. As you press it to your face, a wave of calm sweeps through you, like an Instagram reel of baby goats, rain on a tin roof, and your favorite song from high school all rolled into one. Your shoulders unclench. Your mind exhales as droplets trace paths down your cheeks. They leave behind a faint shimmer, subtle enough that you wonder if it's real or if the mirror is gaslighting you again. But the effect is undeniable. You feel awake, not just physically, but on a soul level, like your inner sparkle got a software update. You reach for the small towel beside the basin. It's made of something softer than anything you've ever touched. Probably phoenix belly fluff. You pat your skin dry, and the towel vanishes the second it leaves your fingers. Waste-free, divine skincare. Nice. A new section of the wall opens without fanfare, revealing a hallway lined with warm, golden sconces that burn with what appears to be liquid sunlight. The floor is a mosaic of sea glass and pearls, and your footsteps leave glimmers of light behind, briefly, like you're borrowing brilliance on credit. At the end of the hallway you find another vanity, this one floating, literally hovering, a few inches above the floor, held up by, well, probably confidence. This vanity is different, sleeker, moodier. Here, the tools of beauty aren't passive. They hover, glow, rearrange themselves as if prepping for a cosmic makeover. Laid out are a set of combs made from odd materials. One glimmers with stardust, another hums faintly when touched, and a third has a faint scent of sandalwood and burnt sugar. You reach for the one that feels warm in your hand. It's the comb made of mermaid bone and polished silver, according to a whisper you don't remember hearing. You begin to comb your hair, and with each stroke, tiny sparks of light flicker down the strands. It doesn't detangle so much as rewrite your hair into alignment. If this were a shampoo commercial, angels would sing in the background, and your hair would move in slow motion permanently. According to one myth, Aphrodite's hair was never wet or tangled because it was combed daily with the tears of stars. That might be a little dramatic, but hey, have you ever seen a bad hair day on a deity? The room grows warmer, not uncomfortably, but with a rising hum of energy. You see the mirror float in again, now trimmed in golden ivy that hadn't been there before. It shows you with your hair mid-transformation, not just styled but elevated. It's the kind of hair that gets poems written about it. One curl falls perfectly across your forehead, rebellious in a carefully orchestrated way. Obviously it meant to do that. As you continue, a curious thing happens. The comb begins to sing, soft, wordless and haunting. You stop, and it stops. Start again, and the melody resumes. Apparently its voice activated by elegance. Then you notice the smallest drawer on the vanity open by itself. Inside, a note, handwritten on papyrus as fine as lace. It reads, "Real beauty never tries too hard, but it does try." A little passive-aggressive, maybe, but kind of useful if you're honest. You place the comb down, and it hums once contentedly. The air has taken on a new scent now, neroli, lemon blossom, and the unmistakable trace of ancient sandalwood. The room is ready for the next phase. But before you leave, you take one last look in the mirror. This time, it doesn't show your face at all. Instead, it displays a small amphora with a heart-shaped seal glowing faintly. The caption beneath it, because apparently divine mirrors have captions now, reads, "The first drop begins at dawn," and suddenly you understand you're not just going through Aphrodite's routine, you're becoming part of it. You step away from the floating vanity, your feet sinking once again into the plush sensation of invisible fog. Ahead, the corridor twists slightly, revealing a sun-dappled archway framed in curling vines that appear to be made of gold and mildly flirtatious. One of them actually twitches toward your hand. You politely ignore it. This next room feels like stepping into a dream curated by a celestial Pinterest board. Silk drapes cascade from unseen heights, pooling into clouds on the floor. Light filters through a ceiling that isn't really there, just layers of air so clear and thin they shimmer like a soap bubble. And in the center of it all stands Aphrodite's breakfast table. It's not a feast in the traditional sense. There are no overflowing platters or comically large goblets of nectar. No, this is elegance, refined, minimal, but otherworldly. A single slice of ambrosia toast sits on a plate shaped like a clamshell. It sparkles faintly, as if it's been buttered with starlight. Beside it, a small cup of pomegranate tea steams gently, the scent warm and tart, with just a twist of danger. You hesitate, but a voice, not out loud, but definitely there, encourages you. Eat. It's not about hunger. It's about intention. Classic deity move, mysterious, vaguely threatening, and probably poetic. You sit. The chair adjusts to you like a hug from someone who's really good at hugs. You pick up the toast, half expecting it to dissolve into a song or open a portal. Instead, it tastes incredible, sweet but not cloying, like honey dripped onto warm bread and whispered to by a minor muse. The pomegranate tea is more serious. One sip and you feel your heart rate sink to a rhythm that isn't yours, but it's comforting, familiar, like the heartbeat of the sea or a lover humming in another room. According to ancient sources, pomegranates were sacred to multiple gods, but in Aphrodite's case, they symbolized complexity. Love, yes, but also consequence. Some historians suggest the goddess favored them as a subtle reminder. Nothing sweet is ever simple. Just as you place the teacup back on the table, a figure drifts into the room, graceful, laughing, with the unmistakable aura of someone who knows every secret and is only going to tell half. It's Pytho, goddess of persuasion, and Aphrodite's trusted confidant. She doesn't walk so much as she floats, silk trailing behind her like she's part comet. She raises a perfectly arched eyebrow and smirks. "You've started without me? Bold." Her voice has the weightless charm of a summer breeze carrying a scandal. She sits across from you, snapping her fingers to summon a duplicate breakfast. Her toast is slightly darker, her tea infused with fig. "So," she says, sipping casually, "what do you think of the routine so far? Less spa day and more subtle identity restructuring, right?" You laugh because she's right, but also because it's impossible not to around her. That's kind of her thing. Petho leans in, lowering her voice like she's about to drop the juiciest bit of divine tea. You know she doesn't actually need a morning routine, right? Immortality's a full-time glow-up. This is all performance. But performance is the point. A dove swoops in, delivers a napkin, then vanishes into a puff of glitter. You've stopped being surprised by things like this. Petho continues, gesturing toward a nearby armoire that has started to hum. "Come. You'll need something to wear. For the garden, nothing too mortal." She gives you a once-over, not unkindly, but definitely judgmental. Let's try not to embarrass her. She does have a reputation. You follow her to the wardrobe, which opens as you approach. Inside is a dizzying array of garments, gowns of living silk, capes that shift color with your mood, tunics that adjust themselves based on nearby lighting. There's even one outfit that seems to be sighing dramatically, like it's been waiting for a fashion-forward demigod its whole life. Petho taps her chin, eyes scanning. "That one," she says, pointing to a simple robe of ivory and blush that glows like the inside of a seashell. It's confident without being thirsty. You reach for it and feel the fabric whisper across your skin like a compliment you almost believe. As it drapes over your shoulders, the entire room subtly shifts in hue to match the new energy you're giving off. Your reflection appears in a mirrored panel nearby. You look ethereal, like you just stepped out of a myth that hasn't been written yet. Petho nods approvingly. "Now you're ready. But don't get cocky, the garden's alive, and it remembers." She twirls on her heel, trailing laughter behind her like perfume, and walks toward the next door. As you follow, the breakfast room slowly fades behind you, the scent of pomegranate lingering like a promise. Ahead, sunlight spills through an arch carved with symbols you can't read, but you feel them. The next stage is about more than beauty. It's about power, and possibly something floral. The archway spills sunlight like honey onto the floor, and as you step through, the warmth curls around your ankles in greeting. You've entered the Garden of Aphrodite, not the well-manicured kind featured in mortal postcards, but a living, breathing realm where plants hum, vines flirt, and flowers bloom based on how hard you're crushing on someone. It stretches out endlessly in every direction, yet somehow feels intimate. Every twist of the path, every bend of branch seems tailored to your mood. The air here is rich, not heavy, but saturated, like biting into a ripe peach while someone reads you poetry. A breeze brushes your cheek, scented with lilac and something else, something that reminds you of your first real heartbreak. Thanks for that, nature. The garden is layered. High above, massive trees with golden bark sway with no wind. Their leaves shimmer with iridescent edges that catch the light like sequins on a toga. Beneath them, rows of oversized roses open in slow motion, sighing as if each petal remembers. A different, forbidden kiss. This place is a lot. You glance down and notice the grass is not grass at all, but soft tufts of moss and petals that somehow keep you elevated slightly above the dirt. Aphrodite doesn't do earthy unless it's curated. You reach the heart of the garden, a circular glade with a marble bench, a small fountain trickling what smells suspiciously like Prosecco, and dozens of plants you can't name. They look exotic, possibly illegal in most mortal realms. Some glow faintly, others purr. This is where she harvests the ingredients for her signature perfume. The recipe is legendary but incomplete. Historians believe parts of it were deliberately erased from texts to keep mortals from replicating its effects. Others claim the scent wasn't just fragrance. It was a spell, a binding, a calling card of the gods. What's certain is this: every bloom here contributes something, and none of it is ordinary. You lean closer to a plant with deep violet petals and a golden core. As you do, it opens wide, releasing a puff of shimmering dust that smells like a memory you can't place. Somewhere between cinnamon and sorrow. Petho, who has reappeared casually lounging on the fountain, like this is just another Tuesday, warns without looking, "Don't breathe that one too deeply. You'll end up texting your ex." You step back quickly. Duly noted. She gestures toward a more cooperative plant, a bush of pale blue flowers that sparkle like frost on velvet. "Moonlit nectar," she says, "essential for the bass note. Must be picked just as the sun crests that statue." She points to a marble sculpture of a nymph mid-swoon. If you're even a second late, the scent turns bitter, like regret or over-steeped tea. You crouch, fingers brushing the bloom delicately. The plant shivers under your touch, then yields. You pluck one petal, and instantly the garden reacts. A soft gust rustles through the trees, birds trill a scale, and a vine nearby ties itself into the shape of a heart. Drama queens, all of them. Petho hands you a crystal vial, and you place the petal inside. It dissolves like sugar in champagne, leaving behind a faint glow. One down, a dozen to go, as you continue collecting, each bloom requiring a specific tone of voice or compliment to offer itself. You start to feel the rhythm of the garden. It's not just alive, it's collaborative. You compliment a vine's curl, and it hands you a leaf. You hum a tune, and a bush of pale orange flowers opens in sync. It's like a botanic version of flirting. Honestly, it's kind of fun. According to myth, Aphrodite's garden was originally planted by Gaia herself as a gift for Aphrodite's birth from the sea foam. But academic debates rage over whether the garden was metaphorical, perhaps referring to inner beauty cultivated through ritual, or if there was an actual location hidden from mortals, maybe somewhere near modern-day Cyprus. Either way, this place doesn't feel made. It feels remembered. You find a flower with sharp crimson petals and a scent like fire and citrus. It doesn't open for you immediately. Petho nods. That one requires a confession. You pause. Of what? She shrugs. Whatever you've been avoiding, rude. Still you kneel beside it thinking. You whisper something only you know, and the flower blooms slowly, dramatically, like a curtain rise at an opera. You pluck a single petal, heart pounding more than you'd like to admit. As you add it to the vial, the glow intensifies. It's starting to smell divine, like warmth, memory, desire, and rain after a drought. Petho watches you with a curious smile. She'll be pleased. Aphrodite doesn't like shortcuts. Beauty, my dear, is never accidental. Then she points toward a final flower, hidden behind a veil of hanging moss. It's small, unimpressive at first, just a pale bud curled in on itself, but as you approach, it unrolls slowly, revealing layers of white silver and a faint blush at its core. Petho speaks softly now. This one's the rarest. It only blooms for those who've loved without being loved back. Well, that hits. You reach out, and it trembles before offering a single petal into your palm. It's feather light. Barely. There, and it dissolves before you even lift it. But the vial in your hand pulses. That was the final note. You've completed the harvest. Petho stands, brushing invisible dust from her perfect gown. Come, she's waiting. And somewhere beyond the garden, the air begins to shimmer. With the final petal dissolved, and the crystal vial warm in your hand, you follow Petho out of the garden and into a path lined with flickering lanterns. But of course, these aren't regular lanterns. They float, pulsing gently with what appears to be bottled starlight. One of them drifts close and lets out a tiny burp of lavender-scented sparkles. Charming. The garden behind you vanishes into mist as the corridor begins to narrow. You're entering Aphrodite's private preparation chamber, the place where details become ritual and rituals become myth. It's quieter here, sacred but not in a heavy temple way. More like the hush of a dressing room just before a big night out. If that dressing room had gold filigree climbing the walls and incense made from hopes and unpaid love poems. In the center of the room stands a low, circular platform, surrounded by cushions that sigh when sat upon, clearly enchanted, with excellent lumbar support. A breeze drifts in from nowhere, and with it the scent of something roasted, something sweet and something slightly divine. Breakfast? Again? No, not quite. The air thickens with magic, and with it arrives a platter, levitating casually. On it sits a single piece of ambrosia toast, yes again, and a delicate teacup filled with pomegranate tea that steams in the shape of tiny swans. But there's something else this time. A small dish of golden powder and a brush carved from a phoenix feather. Petho grins and taps the powder. Mascara, you blink. Mascara. Made from phoenix ashes, she says, casually plucking the brush. Smudges less than mortal brands. Also grants visions of who's thinking about you, sometimes even why. She winks. Usually it's jealousy. You sit obediently and Petho begins the process. She doesn't rush. Each stroke is like a blessing. The powder is warm, not dusty, and it doesn't sting. It tingles, like someone whispering your name from very far away. You glance into a nearby mirror and gasp softly. Your lashes are now impossibly long and faintly iridescent, not flashy, just celestial. You blink, and in that blink, you see something else. Brief flashes of faces. A stranger on a beach, an old flame in a library, someone looking at a photo of you with a sad little smile. You blink again, and it's gone. Petho shrugs. Side effect. Might wear off. Or not. Once the mascara is applied, she sets down. The brush and the ashes spiral back into the air, like smoke in reverse, returning to their jar. Apparently, phoenixes like to keep a close eye on how their remains are used. You stand, now noticeably more luminous, and move toward a new table in the chamber. A vanity made of obsidian with drawers that open only when whispered to. You lean in and whisper something soft. It unlocks immediately. Nice to know it's not just looks that count here. Inside the drawer, jewelry. Not the chunky kind mortals wear to weddings, but delicate, ancient pieces that hum with emotion. Rings that vibrate with recent flirtation. A necklace that radiates heartbreak so vividly you flinch. And one small bracelet, simple and gold, with a single pink pearl. You touch it and it pulses in your hand. Petho nods. That one remembers lovers. You slide it onto your wrist. It tightens slightly, like it recognizes you. Then, without Warning, it flashes warm. In your mind's eye you see a cascade of names, not spoken, just felt. People you've loved, people who've loved you. Some align, some don't, some sting, but it's all there, gently acknowledged, not judged. Petho sighs dramatically. That bracelet gets sentimental. Sometimes it hums love songs at night. The chamber dims for a moment. Then from a far corner, a golden cabinet opens slowly. Inside, a dress, not just any dress. This one shimmers with the light of dawn, folds like a sigh, and practically whispers main character energy. You reach for it, and it moves into your arms, weightless and warm, like it's glad to be worn. As you change, the air shifts again. More petals fall from nowhere. Doves coo softly in approval. Even the mirror tilts to get a better look. You step forward and meet your own gaze. You don't look like Aphrodite. You don't even look like a goddess. You look like you, distilled. Through divine confidence and careful ritual. Petho claps once, summoning a soft musical cue. Harps and wind chimes in a rhythm that sounds suspiciously like, "You did that." Then she hands you a small bottle. The vial is opalescent, the liquid inside swirling gently like it's got plans of its own. "The perfume," she says softly. "Well, part of it." You glance at her. "Part?" Petho smirks. "You didn't think you'd get the full formula just yet, did you? Aphrodite likes to keep a little mystery. But this is your contribution. You hold it in your palm. The weight is right. The temperature, perfect. The scent, still evolving. Still you." Petho turns to the doors behind her. They part slowly. Light spills in. She's ready for you now. You step forward, and you smell amazing. The doors open with the kind of dramatic flair usually reserved for thunderclaps or Hollywood entrances. But there's no noise, just the soft exhale of silk on silk and a warm light that seems to lean in, curious to meet you. You step into the next chamber and are instantly enveloped by movement. It's not chaotic, though. It's choreographed, like a fashion show where every model is a breeze and every breeze is slightly judging your posture. This is the closet of 1,000 silks. No shelves, no racks, no aggressive salespeople named Cassandra trying to upsell you a belt. Instead, robes and gowns hover mid-air, swaying softly as if deciding whether you're worthy. They're alive, not in a creepy Disney object-sing way, but subtly, like they're paying attention. A few silks swirl toward you, performing a sort of aerial dance. One in particular catches your eye, a deep midnight blue robe with threads of gold stitched into constellations. As you reach for it, it shifts back coyly, like it's saying, "Earn me." Petho, lounging again, seriously. Does she ever not lounge? Grins. They like a little foreplay, compliments help. You try. You look soft. A rustle. Not interested. Shimmery. A half-turn. Better. Okay. You look like the kind of fabric that ruins people's concentration and starts wars. It glides into your arms like a satisfied cat. You laugh, slipping into it, and it wraps around your shoulders with the elegance of a practiced flirt. It doesn't tie. It clings, adjusts, breathes with you. It likes you. And just like that, you're wearing a story. Historians have written about the divine textiles of Olympus, theorizing that each thread was dyed in pools of twilight and woven by nymphs who understood heartbreak. Others claim the garments were metaphors representing power, allure, or the emotional armor we wear to survive love. But right now, it's very real and very flattering. Other garments float closer, each whispering stories of past wearers. One gown trembles slightly, still infused with the giggle of a nymph who wore it to seduce a minor wind god. Another emits a soft sigh, the echo of a tragic affair that ended in poetry and excessive pomegranate consumption. A silk scarf brushes your hand and immediately flares to life, replaying a memory like a film reel. Aphrodite walking along a beach at dawn, hair down, barefoot, laughing. The scent of salt and roses, the hum of unseen worshippers. She's not posing, not performing, just being. It feels intimate, like you've peeked behind the curtain of divine branding. You drop the scarf gently. It flutters away a little smug. These silks are not just fabric, they're memory keepers. Petho stands and gestures toward a mirror you hadn't noticed, towering oval, framed in seashells and moonstone. Your reflection appears instantly, but with a subtle difference. It moves a split second before you do, a hint of anticipation, like your aura's got somewhere to be before you catch up. You're starting to settle in, Petho observes, arms crossed. You nod. It feels right. Of course it does, she smirks. You're wearing history, confidence, and several emotionally unstable love poems. As she speaks, the mirror flashes images, not of you, but of those who once wore these silks. A sapphic poet, eyes gleaming with mischief. A warrior queen with laughter like bells and a temper like wildfire. A sailor who claimed Aphrodite appeared in a silk robe and changed the tides just for him. Historians still debate that last one, whether it was divine intervention or just a very confident hallucination. You step away from the mirror, feeling taller somehow. The robe moves with you like choreography. It catches the light, reflects your mood, and keeps a whisper of perfume close to your skin. Your custom blend evolving subtly with every step. A drawer opens to your right, automatically, like it's been listening. Inside, accessories. Not your average clutch and heels combo, but rings that hum when you lie, earrings that sparkle based on who's thinking about you, and one choker that literally purrs. You pass on that one, too much responsibility. Instead, you choose a simple golden clasp in the shape of a seashell. As you fasten it near your collarbone, it tightens slightly, sealing in the scent of the garden petals you gathered. A heart note of moonlit nectar, a base of confession, and now the finishing flourish. You don't smell like Aphrodite. You smell like you, with just enough myth layered in to make people stare and forget what they were saying. Petho claps again, twice this time, and the robes part, creating a clear path toward the next doorway. She's waiting, she says. And you look good enough to rival the sunrise. You roll your eyes, but it's kind of true. You smell like stardust and emotional complexity, and you're wrapped in the whispers of lovers past. You're ready, or at least as ready as anyone can be to meet the goddess of love in her inner sanctum. You take one last glance at the mirror. It winks. You move forward. The silks part like a curtain just for you, and the next room greets you, with a hush so complete, it feels like even time is holding its breath. You enter what can only be described as a throne room, designed not for politics or power, but for poise. And lounging, lots of lounging. This is Aphrodite's private salon. The floor is a mirror, but not one that reflects your face. Instead, it captures moods. Right now, beneath your feet, a slow bloom of warm gold pulses with calm confidence. High above, the ceiling is a dome of rose quartz, glowing faintly like blushing clouds at sunrise. In the center, a chaise sculpted from pearlescent shells, and soft enough to rewrite your standards for furniture. And on it, her Aphrodite, the real deal. No fanfare, No doves throwing confetti, no halo of artificial sparkle. She doesn't need any of that. She's sitting, no, reclining, with one arm draped lazily over the back of the chaise, a strand of hair escaping its golden clasp. She's looking at you like you're a particularly interesting painting she hasn't decided how she feels about yet, and somehow even that feels like a compliment. She lifts a brow. "Well," she says, voice like a lyre's final note, "you've come a long way for someone who started the day looking like a dream with bedhead." You bow, awkwardly, but sincerely. She waves it off with a smile that could derail an empire. "I see Peitho hasn't scared you off," she adds, just as the goddess of persuasion flutters in behind you, dramatically sipping from a glass of something glittery. Aphrodite gestures for you to sit on the chaise beside her. As you do, the furniture softens beneath you, like it's accommodating your every insecurity. Comfort is a divine science here. "Let's talk about perfume," she says, eyes twinkling. "Everyone thinks it's about seduction, attraction, control. And sure, it can be all of that, but really it's about memory. One whiff and someone's 10 years younger, or heartbroken again, or remembering the exact moment they fell in love." She reaches to a low table beside her, plucks a rose, and crushes it lightly in her fingers. The air fills with a scent so tender it hurts. Peitho exhales softly. Aphrodite smirks. That's the first layer, the note that opens the story. She stands now, barefoot, gliding across the mirrored floor, as if the room is rotating gently. Beneath her, she lifts her hand and a small silver bell rings, not by touch, but by desire. From a hidden alcove emerges a figure, cloaked in gauze, carrying a tray with 4 tiny vials. "These," Aphrodite says, "are today's possibilities." You step forward, curious. Each vial is labeled in a looping, ancient script that seems to rearrange itself depending on what emotion you're feeling. One reads devotion, another flickers between curiosity and regret. The third remains stubbornly blank. The fourth, Peitho's favorite mistake. She snorts behind you. Accurate. Aphrodite watches you. Choose one. Only one. You hesitate, then reach for the blank vial. As your fingers close around it, the label shifts once more. Becoming. She smiles. Interesting. You open it, and the scent is elusive, like trying to remember a dream you never quite understood. It smells like hope, but with sharp corners. A perfume that promises nothing and gives you everything if you're honest. Aphrodite nods approvingly. That's your heart note, the one that lingers long after the world has forgotten your name. The room dims slightly, the rose quartz ceiling shifting to a duskier hue. Aphrodite returns to her seat, drawing you in closer with a gesture. "There's something I haven't told you," she says, and suddenly the air tightens a little. The perfume, the real one. It doesn't just smell divine, it remembers. Whoever wears it becomes a part of it, a living archive of moments, glances, touch. You blink. So it's a scent and a story. She leans forward, and for a moment, you see the flicker of immortality behind her eyes, the weariness of eternity mixed with the thrill of never being forgotten. It's a memory you gift the world. But it's also a risk. Not every note is beautiful. Peitho behind you hums. Some are complicated. Aphrodite's smile returns, gentler now. "But I think you're ready." From beneath her chaise she retrieves a small bottle. It's shaped like a teardrop, capped with a pearl. Inside, a swirl of every note you've gathered, experienced and become. "This," she says, placing it in your hand, "isn't just perfume. It's you. You hold it close. It pulses once, then settles. Aphrodite leans back, content. Now, she says, go meet the doves. They've been dying to whisper about you. The corridor you step into next is narrower, more intimate, like a secret hallway inside a perfume bottle. The walls are lined with mosaics, not of gods or heroes, but of lovers. Real ones. Some laughing, some weeping, some frozen in that tiny, electric space just before a first kiss. The tiles shimmer as you walk past, and you realize they're subtly scented. Each love story preserved not only in image, but in fragrance. Aphrodite's voice lingers in your memory. It's not just perfume. It's you, which is comforting until you remember that you includes all your awkward flings, accidental double texts, and that one time you cried during a Disney movie and blamed allergies. The vial in your hand grows warmer, as if, amused, you emerge into a courtyard, circular, open to the sky, with sunlight falling in perfect columns. And then you hear it. The gentle flap of wings, followed by a flurry of movement. You're surrounded by doves, not your average pigeons with attitude problems. These are Aphrodite's sacred messengers, pure white, plump with pride, and incredibly judgy. They descend like feathered critics at a red carpet event, circling you, cooing thoughtfully, occasionally pecking at the hem of your robe like they're checking fabric quality. One lands on your shoulder and gives a slow, approving nod. Another settles on your wrist, sniffs the vial, then does a little wing shimmy that you hope is a compliment. Pytho reappears, holding what looks suspiciously like a pair of baby shoes made of gold thread and clouds. Winged sandals, she says, handing them to you. One size fits all, though they do pinch if you're emotionally repressed. You slide your feet into them and instantly feel lighter. Not in the I-skipped breakfast way, but like the air itself is ready to carry you. The sandals shimmer with each step, and when you lift your heels, yes, there it is. Lift, hover, float. You glance up, the doves are waiting. Pytho rolls her eyes. All right, love bugs, let's deliver some gossip. The doves line up like an organized flash mob and you follow them through the sky. Okay, not sky exactly. It's more like gliding through a perfume dreamscape. Clouds scented like citrus and bergamot drift lazily. Somewhere, a harp plays itself while a flute tries to harmonize but keeps missing the beat. As you fly, the doves chirp and coo, clearly talking to each other, and unfortunately also talking about you. One glances at you, then turns to its feathered neighbor and coos in a tone that is definitely shade. Pytho giggles from behind. Oh yes, they're saying you smell like potential with a hint of existential crisis. You're too busy trying not to drift into a cloud shaped like a wistful X to argue. You land softly on another platform, this one nestled among vines and drifting petals. The doves disperse, leaving behind a faint scent of pear and smugness. In front of you is a tall shelving unit filled with small bottles, each labeled in tiny golden script. The shelf of forgotten elixirs. Pytho steps beside you, suddenly serious. Every bottle here holds something someone wanted to forget, or should have. She runs her fingers along the glass. Jealousy, obsession, delusion, overconfidence. You squint. Is that one labeled texting back at 2 a.m.? She nods solemnly. A classic. There's one bottle that glows faintly, tugging at your attention. It's unlabeled. You reach for it, but Pytho intercepts. Careful. That one's called What If. People get stuck in it. You pull your hand back. The bottle pulses, disappointed. You ask, why are they still here? She shrugs. Because perfume is power, and power can't afford to forget. It needs to choose. She gestures toward a smaller alcove just behind the shelf where a stone basin waits. Come, it's time. You follow, heart thudding slightly. This feels bigger, final almost. She pours the contents of your custom vial into the basin. The liquid hits the stone and glows, no, blooms, sending up a column of scent that twists and dances in the air. It wraps around your wrist, your throat, your heart, and then the air stills. From somewhere far off a soft chime sounds. The doves quiet, the sandals stop glowing. Pitho looks at you with a rare seriousness. That scent, she says softly, you'll leave traces of it wherever you go. Not just on people, but on memories, on choices, on silences. You inhale. It smells like vulnerability, yes, but also clarity, and a little citrus. Because why not? She steps back. Now let's bottle it. You raise your hand, and the scent swirls into your palm, forming a small, glowing droplet. It sinks into a new, vial, opal-toned, warm, unmistakably you. Not just a fragrance, but a truth. Pitho smiles. You've done it. You've made your own myth. From above, a dove drops a feather into your hair like punctuation. And somewhere, Aphrodite smiles. You're still holding the opalescent vial, its surface pulsing faintly like a heart wrapped in glass, when the walls around you begin to shift. Not in a collapsing kind of way, more like they're rearranging themselves to make space for what comes next. Pitho, now suddenly serious again, which honestly should have been your first red flag, gestures for you to follow her into a passageway, hidden behind a curtain of wisteria. Time to meet the bracelet, she says cryptically, like that explains anything. You follow because obviously the hallway narrows, the light dims, and the air turns cooler, still floral, but now with a hint of something metallic, like the scent of memory wrapped in foil. The floor beneath your sandals is soft, mossy, but with the occasional tile that sings when you step on it. A gentle ding, a low hum, one that accidentally plays the opening note of a love ballad you haven't heard in years. You enter a round room, smaller than the previous spaces, but glowing, with a soft peach gold light. In the center, on a raised cushion, lies a bracelet. It's simple, no obvious gemstones, no overwrought flourishes, just a slim band of gold, a soft curve of rose quartz at its center, and the sense that it's seen more love stories than any therapist could survive. Pitho leans casually against a column and says, "This one's special. It remembers lovers," you arch a brow. "Like all of them," she nods. "All the ones that mattered, and a few that didn't but tried really hard." You step forward and place your fingers gently on the band. Instantly a warmth spreads. Up your arm, not just temperature but sensation, emotions, echoes. The bracelet pulses softly, and then, click, fastens itself around your wrist like it's been waiting. The light in the room shifts, casting soft shadows on the walls, and suddenly you're surrounded by flickering silhouettes, memories projected like candlelit puppetry. Figure laughing under the stars, their hand brushing yours. Another holding you too tightly during a goodbye. A third, someone who never actually said "I love you," but meant it in every small gesture. The bracelet doesn't judge. It just plays the story back. Pitho is quiet, unusually so. When you glance at her, she just offers a soft smile. "The first time I wore it," she says, "I cried for 3 hours. Then I tried to date one of the shadows. It didn't go well." You're not crying. Not really. Your eyes are just rehydrating aggressively. The bracelet tightens once, gently, like a hug, and then something wild happens. It begins to glow in time with your heartbeat. The quartz pulses softly, and a whisper, faint, internal, and unmistakably yours, says, "You loved. You were loved. That's enough." One scholar once suggested that this bracelet may have existed in myth as a metaphor for emotional scars. Others believed it was real, a divine artifact gifted by Eros to those who completed the rites of Aphrodite. But no one agrees on what happens after it bonds. Petho claps her hands once, snapping you out of the trance. All right, before you drown in nostalgia, there's one last thing to see today. You follow her out of the chamber, the bracelet, still glowing faintly as if whispering, "Remember this." You emerge into a wide balcony overlooking what must be the inner courtyard of Aphrodite's realm. Below, blooms erupt in slow motion, as if competing for attention. A shallow pool reflects the sky, though it's not showing clouds, it's showing past moments. First dances, second chances, third dates that should have ended in disaster, but didn't. Petho points. You're standing at the center of the garden of reflection. The bracelet sinks with it, and now that you've worn it, it'll never forget you. You step to the edge and look down. For just a moment, the water shifts and shows you, not as you are now, but as you've been. Uncertain, hopeful, scared, electric. All versions coexisting. Behind you, the bracelet hums once more. Petho sighs. You're doing well. Better than most, you snort. How many people have done this? She shrugs. Not many, even fewer without crying onto their sandals. You raise your arm. The bracelet pulses once, then dims. Quiet, settled. The perfume you carry feels heavier now, but not in a burdensome way. In a way that says, this is real. This is you. Petho leans close and whispers, next stop, her garden. But the secret part. And yes, it's even more dramatic than this. Naturally, you take a deep breath and prepare to follow her again. But you glance down at the bracelet one more time. It glows, and this time it hums the tune of someone remembering your name. Petho leads you through a vine-covered arch that wasn't there a second ago. Of course, the entrance to Aphrodite's private garden doesn't obey geometry or logic. It reveals itself only when you're carrying a perfume bottle with your own soul trapped inside and a bracelet that knows your emotional history better than your therapist. You duck under a curtain of hanging jasmine, and the air changes. It thickens, not unpleasantly, but in that rich velvet way that feels like you've walked into a secret someone's been dying to tell you. It smells like wild honey, sandalwood, and a memory that still makes your stomach flip. The garden is alive, not metaphorically. It breathes. Vines curl lazily around marble statues that look suspiciously like past lovers caught mid-flirt. Flowers bloom as you pass, not from sunlight but from recognition. The moment they sense you, they open in slow, sensuous waves. Poppies, lotuses, irises, and blooms you don't recognize, even in your most curated Pinterest board. Petho pauses. Welcome to the Garden of Forbidden Blooms, the ones that only grow under very specific emotional conditions. You arch a brow. Like angst? She grins. Oh, worse. These grow from unspoken crushes, almost kisses and long silences, filled with longing. She points to a midnight blue flower curled tightly on its stem. That one, blossomed when two gods nearly kissed, then backed away out of stubborn pride, still hasn't opened again. The plants here are gorgeous, dramatic and slightly unhinged, basically the botanical equivalent of a Greek tragedy with great lighting. One vine reaches toward you, sniffing the air, then retracts slowly, offended. Petho tuts. Don't mind her. She only opens for epic poetry and complicated feelings. You stroll deeper into the garden, the path shifting subtly underfoot. It feels like velvet, but occasionally pulses, just a beat. Like it's alive, too. Ahead, a small pond reflects a version of the sky that isn't today's. It shows moonlight and mist. Floating above it is a flower you can only describe as impossible. Its petals glow softly, but never the same color. Twice. It smells like the beginning of something, maybe everything. That, Petho says quietly, is the bloom she guards most closely, the perfumed heart. It's said to hold the base note of Aphrodite's original fragrance, the one she wore when she rose from the sea foam, the one that made even Zeus blink twice. You step closer. The flower reacts, opening a little wider. You feel something shift inside you, your thoughts, your heartbeat, maybe even your memories. This flower knows, it remembers. The scent hits. You in layers. First sea salt and sunlight, then crushed almonds and olive blossom. Finally, something else entirely, a feeling. That breathless moment when someone touches your hand and doesn't let go. The idea that you could be seen, really seen, and loved anyway. Petho watches you carefully. It doesn't bloom for everyone. You glance at her. Why me? She shrugs, but her voice softens. Because you didn't just walk through the motions. You felt them. And perfume, real perfume, is feeling, distilled. You reach out slowly, not to pick the bloom, that would be rude, but to ask, silently, for permission. The flower bows slightly, offering a single petal. You take it. It vanishes in your hand, instantly absorbed into the perfume bottle. The vial pulses once, brighter than before. Now the scent is complete, and you feel it too. Your skin tingles, your chest lifts, your thoughts slow. You're not wearing the perfume anymore. It's wearing you. You've become part of the myth. Petho exhales, a rare look of reverence on her face. Well, that was dramatic. You chuckle, still awash in the glow of the experience. Around you, the garden blooms a little brighter, as if in applause. Even the shy midnight flower uncurls slightly, just a peek. Petho claps her hands twice, and a small bridge unfurls across the pond. On the other side is a path lined with white roses and tiny golden butterflies. It leads to a low marble arch, inscribed with letters that rearrange themselves as you look. You read, "Once known, never forgotten." Petho sighs, her tone turning playful again. Ready for the song that opens lotus hearts? You glance down at your perfume bottle, now glowing like a heartbeat. You look at the bracelet, still humming gently on your wrist. Let's do it. And you step across the bridge, petals swirling around your ankles, the garden at your back, the next memory waiting just ahead. The bridge behind you gently rolls back into the garden, vanishing as though it were never there. Ahead, the air is still and sweet, charged with the kind of anticipation you might feel before a first kiss, or right before a concert starts. The ground is covered in soft lotus petals, pink and gold, which make a slight chiming sound as you step on them. That's right, chiming. Like tiny bells soaked in honey. You walk forward into a chamber unlike the others, less curated, more ancient. The walls are smooth stone, but veined with glowing lines like they're pulsing with old music. And at the Center, resting on a pedestal carved from driftwood and coral, is an instrument that looks like it grew there, a lyre with strings of moonlight. Petho catches up, oddly silent. She nods to the lyre. "That's it," she whispers, "the song." You blink. Aphrodite's perfume involves a song. "Of course," she says, her voice now hushed and reverent. "You think scent alone opens the lotus hearts." Lotus, hearts. You remember now, one of the core ingredients in the perfume can't be harvested until the plant opens, and it only does so when it hears the song of remembrance. No pressure. You step forward, the perfume bottle glowing faintly at your side, and the bracelet tightening just a little, like it's bracing for what's next. You rest your fingers on the lyre's frame. It hums beneath your touch, recognizing you maybe, or warning you. A scroll floats down from above, landing softly on the pedestal. It's short, written in a script that shimmers into meaning the longer you stare at it. The song isn't lyrics, not exactly. More like feelings rendered into rhythm. There are no words, just emotional coordinates. Petho circles the room slowly. You don't have to play it perfectly, just honestly. You pluck the first string. The sound is soft, resonant. Not quite music, but not silence either, more like a memory being gently unwrapped. You pluck another, and the sound deepens, layers itself. With each note, the room responds. The walls shift in color, the stone pulsing with golds and blues. The air thickens, and your perfume reacts, dancing from the bottle in thin, fragrant trails. The third note triggers something else. A lotus nearby, just one, opens. It's slow, sensual, like someone waking up from a long, romantic dream. The petals part, revealing a glowing core, and the scent that escapes is unlike anything you've experienced. It's fresh and ancient, floral and musky, heartbreak and healing in one breath. You keep playing, now fully immersed. The lyre doesn't just sing, it remembers. You see flashes in your mind, moments from your own life, smiles, half-formed goodbyes, the feeling of being wanted, the ache of being misunderstood. The music draws them out, lets them drift into the air like incense, and the lotuses bloom. All of them. Every single one in the chamber responds, opening wide, releasing the final note of the perfume, the ingredient that can't be bought, made, or stolen, recollection. Petho steps forward now, watching the room fill with the luminous petals. "The song doesn't open the flowers," she says quietly. "It opens you. You finish the melody, instinctively the way you finish a sentence you didn't know you were writing. The last note hovers in the air, warm and infinite. The lotuses begin to gently close again, their job done. You step back from the lyre and the pedestal shifts. The petals on the floor spiral upward in slow motion, caught in a wind that feels summoned by memory itself. They gather into a bowl at your feet, fluid, glowing, fragrant. The perfume bottle pulses, and with a gentle motion, you pour the lotus essence into it. The reaction is immediate. The vial glows like a star being born. The scent expands, not outward but inward. You don't smell it so much as recognize it. It's you, not just the version from today, but the person who has loved. Been loved, hesitated, hoped. It's every hesitation and every yes. Every what if and every never again. Petho is watching you, her eyes glinting with something like pride. You're done. The perfume is complete. You look at her, the bottle in your hand warm, steady. So that's it? She smiles, half teasing, half mythic. That's just the song. Now we deliver it. You glance around. The chamber begins to dissolve, not collapse but shift, as if the magic knows it's fulfilled its purpose. The lyre vanishes. The stone fades, the petals lift, swirl, and vanish into golden mist. All that remains is you, Petho, and a vial that holds your truth. The doors open behind you, and you smell the faintest whisper of sea breeze. Aphrodite is waiting, and the perfume is ready to be worn. You step through the doors, and the light shifts again. This time it's not the golden shimmer of rose-tinted clouds or the silvery gleam of divine vanity. This is softer, deeper, indigo light that hums like an old vinyl record spinning at just the right speed. You've entered the chamber of echoes, not sound echoes, emotional ones. The space is round, cavernous, and utterly silent. At the center stands a marble platform ringed with blooming lotus flowers, their petals still quivering from the song you played. Above, no ceiling, just endless sky, dark but not heavy, sprinkled with stars that blink like they're listening. You're not alone. You feel the presence of someone or something tuning in. Petho enters behind you, unusually reverent. This is where the perfume is tested. You blink. Tested, she nods. By the past. That's dramatic. But you're too deep in to question the process now. The perfume bottle, now glowing with a rhythm that matches your heartbeat, lifts gently from your hand and floats to the center of the platform. There, it hovers above a shallow dish carved into the marble. One drop escapes, no, not escapes, offers itself and falls into the dish. What follows is strange, beautiful, slightly terrifying. The scent doesn't rise. It spreads, not just through the air, but through memory. Yours mostly, but not just yours. Images flash around the chamber, not projected, replayed. You see a version of yourself, young, unsure, holding back a truth. Another version, bolder, laughing too loud and meaning every second of it. Then another, quiet, patient, waiting for something that never came. Then a ripple, other figures, people you've loved, people who loved you. Some you forgot, some you tried to forget, some you wish had stayed longer. The scent reacts to each of them. When one figure leans forward, an old friend who once held your hand on a train ride, it glows pink. When another figure appears, a silent mist chants at love, it turns a deep, aching blue. The perfume is responding not just to your memories, but to the emotional footprint you've left on others. Petho whispers, "This is the truth test." The scent must balance beauty with honesty. If it's too sweet, it fades. If it's too bitter, it clings. You watch the scent shift through the spectrum of your life. It's revealing things you never consciously admitted, like how you still wonder what would have happened if you'd said yes that one night. Or why the smell of fresh bread always makes you sad in a way you can't explain. Then the chamber begins to hum. From the outer ring, 12 lotus flowers open at once. Each emits a low, resonant tone. Together, they harmonize into a single note, a sound you don't hear so much as feel in your chest. Petho steps forward and places her hand on your shoulder. That's it, the note that decides if the perfume is complete. You nod, breath catching. The note pulses through the chamber, vibrating your bones like a lullaby written just for you. A final bloom opens at the center of the platform, larger than the rest, its petals sheer and glittering like mica. The perfume vial floats above it, glowing like it's made of morning light. Then it lowers into the bloom. Silence. Then a breath. not yours. The room exhales. The lotus closes around the vial, gently, not to hide it, but to hold it, to keep it safe. Pytho smiles. She accepts. You look at her. Aphrodite? No, she says, a little softer now. The perfume, it accepts you. A pause. Then the lotus opens again. The vial floats back to you. It looks the same, but isn't. You feel it immediately. It's no longer just something you made. It's something you've become. You take it in your hand. The scent is more subtle now, refined. It carries the note of your best memories and your worst mistakes in equal measure. It is undeniably, irrevocably yours. Pytho steps back. Time to share it, you ask. With who? She tilts her head. With anyone who smells it, anyone who remembers it. You turn back toward the open door. Beyond it lies Aphrodite, and the world that will either love or misunderstand this perfume. But you're ready either way, because you didn't just make a fragrance. You made a story, and now the first page has been written in scent. As you exit the Chamber of Echoes, something shifts behind your eyes. Not in a painful way, more like someone has opened a window in your mind and let the breeze in. The scent of the perfume lingers in the air, but now it trails behind you like a loyal pet or an overly romanticized reputation. Every step you take leaves an invisible signature, subtle, yes, but potent enough that even the doves glance up as you pass. The corridor ahead curves gently, the walls painted in pastels that change hue with your mood. They're very supportive. Walls. At the end of the corridor, a set of double doors swings open on their own, revealing yet another chamber, this one bustling with motion. Dozens of doves, some flying, others perched on golden perches shaped like vines, others pacing like tiny messengers who just live for drama. They chatter amongst themselves, wings twitching, beaks clicking, feathers ruffling with the sort of self-importance you normally see in fashion editors and Olympian lawyers. This is Aphrodite's aviary, not for songbirds, for gossip birds. Pytho glides in behind you, already rolling her eyes. Ah, the dove delegation. They know everything, and by know, I mean strongly suspect with theatrical flair. You step into the room, and the birds all stop. All eyes on you, a particularly plump one, clearly the leader. He's wearing a tiny crown made of rose thorns and soft gold, flies directly to your shoulder. He sniffs the air near your neck, then gives a satisfied nod. He approves, Pytho says deadpan. He's not easily impressed. One time he pecked a muse for wearing the wrong sandal. You hold up the perfume vial, and immediately a ripple goes through the flock. Feathers fluff, tiny gasps echo. One dove faints dramatically onto a pile of silk. Another clutches its chest with one wing. Pytho leans in. You've officially become the talk of Mount Olympus. They'll be delivering rumors about your scent by nightfall. The crowned dove caws once, sharp and clear. Then to your mild horror, he takes flight, carrying your perfume bottle in his talons. You start to protest, but Pytho lifts a hand. He knows where to take it, she says. To the sky basin. It's the final step. The scent gets lifted into the breeze and becomes part of the collective memory. You stare at her. You're telling me we're aerosolizing my trauma? She grins. Exactly, but in a chic, mythic way. The other doves follow the crowned one in a flurry of white and silver. The chamber empties almost instantly, save for one straggler that drops a tiny scroll into Pytho's hand before fluttering off. She unrolls it, scans it, and snorts. Apparently, one of the sea nymphs already smelled the prototype scent and is now planning a reunion with an old flame. You're triggering reconciliation now. You glance up through the open ceiling. High above, in the very clouds, the faint shimmer of the sky basin glows like a gemstone. And in the middle of it, the doves gather. Petho gestures for you to follow her to the balcony. Come on, you'll want to see this. The view is stunning. The entire realm of Aphrodite stretches below you. Gardens, chambers, shimmering pools, and silken walkways all pulsing with that radiant living energy. But your eyes are drawn upward. The doves circle once, then twice, then the crowned one rises higher, beating his wings with slow, dramatic dignity. He reaches the sky basin, a shallow bowl formed from a single glowing pearl, and drops the perfume vial inside. The effect is immediate. A spiral of scent unfurls, golden and iridescent, swirling upward into the sky. It doesn't just rise, it radiates. The wind picks it up, carries it. You watch as the breeze tugs it across the landscape, curling around statues, drifting through gardens, brushing across sleeping nymphs and thoughtful gods. And then it's gone, not vanished, just everywhere. You feel it more than see it. A soft presence, a lingering note of everything you've experienced. Desire, hesitation, wonder, sorrow, the warmth of being held and the sting of letting go. It's all there. Petho rests her hand on your arm. There, it's part of the air now. Anyone who breathes it in will carry a piece of you. Maybe they won't know why they feel braver, or nostalgic, or like calling someone they haven't talked to in years, but they will. You watch the sky ripple gently. So, that's it. She tilts her head. You think she went through all this just for a bottle of fancy scent? This was about memory, identity, immortality. The door behind you creaks open, but no one stands there. Just the scent of roses. Aphrodite is near, and the world already smells a little more like you. The door creaks wider, and for a moment the scent of you, your perfume, your journey, your stardust soul, mixes with the air like it's always belonged there. Petho gives you a small nod, almost respectful now. That's new. You step through the archway and into what looks like an apothecary, designed by a celestial minimalist. Shelves line the walls, but not chaotically. Each one holds exactly one item. No labels, no dust, no IKEA energy. Just simple, precise reverence. Bottles, jars, scrolls, artifacts. This is the shelf of forgotten elixirs. It's oddly quiet here, and the air feels heavier. Not oppressive, just significant. Like the kind of hush you get in an empty theater before the curtain rises. You move slowly, aware that you're being watched, not by eyes, but by memory. Each bottle seems to hum, waiting to be noticed. Petho appears beside you again, but doesn't speak. Instead, she gestures to the far end of the room, where the shelf curves inward around a small, recessed cabinet. You approach. Inside the cabinet sits a tiny, dark bottle, pitch black, absorbing light. No shimmer, no glow, it looks utterly mortal. That, Petho says at last, is the first attempt. You blink. At Perfume, she nods. The prototype, made before the rituals, before the lotus song, before the heartbreak seasoning. Just flowers, oil, hope. They say she made it when she first realized beauty wasn't enough. You reach out to touch it, but stop. Petho raises an eyebrow. Smart. That one doesn't play nice. It doesn't carry scent. It carries what could have been. Open it, and you risk falling into nostalgia loops. I lost 3 weeks once, just thinking about someone who used to wear leather and smell like cinnamon. You withdraw your hand, Further down, another bottle pulses faintly. This one's red, with swirling gold inside. The label reads, Risk. According to legend, it was worn by Helen of Troy the night she decided to leave. Some say it was cursed. Others argue it just smelled too good for moral decision-making. You pass a decanter shaped like a tear, labeled Regret. Another, much larger, labeled Rebound. Pitho snickers. That one's potent, bit overwhelming on Tuesdays. But then you stop. There, tucked between two forgettable flasks, is a small, perfectly spherical bottle. Transparent, but filled with swirling, iridescent fog. It has no label, but your bracelet pulses. Your perfume vial warms. You feel drawn to it, not like it's calling you, but like it remembers you. Pitho sees your hesitation. Ah, that one. What is it? No one knows. It shows up differently for everyone. Some see their mother's laughter, others the scent of rain on the first day of freedom. It's the elixir of unnamed feelings, the ones we never find words for. You lean in. The fog inside the bottle moves as you do, like it's tracking your breath. You don't open it, you don't need to. Just being near it is enough. And it doesn't judge, it just understands. Behind you, one of the shelves rattles lightly. Gas scroll falls. You pick it up and unroll it. It reads, To smell is to remember is to risk is to be divine. Pitho smiles, one of her first mantras. You replace the scroll, and as you do, you notice something unusual. An empty space on the shelf, precisely measured. Exactly one bottle missing. Pitho nods toward it. That's where yours will go, eventually. You blink. Eventually, she grins. She's not keeping it, not yet. First, it needs to live. You feel the bottle at your side, still warm, still subtly shifting in scent. You remember what Aphrodite said. The perfume doesn't just belong to you, it becomes you. You step back from the shelf, the foggy bottle still watching you without judgment. As you turn, Pitho says, most people who come here just want to smell good. You want it to mean something. You pause. Did I? Darling, she says, you scented the wind with your truth. The rest is just distribution. The room behind you begins to fade, not vanish, just retreat. The shelves dim, the air clears, the elixirs return to their stillness, and the empty space on the shelf waits, quietly, patiently, for the bottle that now pulses in your hand. You're not just a wearer of perfume now, you're a part of the archive, and your essence will linger long after the scent fades. The moment. You step beyond the archive. The air shifts again. Warmer now, kissed with sunlight and something sweeter. Not floral, not herbal. Something purer, more radiant. You know this scent. It's the feeling of waking up and knowing it's going to be a good day. It's what hope might smell like if it had a skincare routine and divine cheekbones. Ahead, an arched doorway glows with soft white light. Pitho gives you a little nudge. Time to bathe. You stop. Again? She smirks. This one's not about cleanliness. It's about clarity. You raise a skeptical brow. So a metaphorical bath? A metaphorical bath, she nods, in literal liquid light. You're sold. Inside, the room is quiet and vast, shaped like an egg cracked open to reveal its glowing core. The walls curve gently upward, shimmering like the inside of a pearl. And in the center, sunken into the floor, is a bath, not filled with water but with light. Liquid, golden, gently shifting light. It looks warm, but not hot, alive but not sentient, and most importantly, inviting. You step closer, the light ripples toward you as if excited. Patho gestures to a small pedestal nearby, upon which lies a robe made entirely of morning mist and gentle encouragement. You remove your silk and slip into the misty garment. It hugs your frame delicately, then dissolves on its own. How considerate. You step into the pool of light. It envelops you slowly, respectfully. It feels like being wrapped in the most comforting compliment you've ever received. Like someone whispered, "I see you," directly into your skin. The liquid light doesn't burn or blind. It illuminates not just your body, but your mind. You close your eyes, and the memories come. Not in a rush, but in soft, spiraling threads. You see moments you'd forgotten, a time you smiled at someone on the street who looked like they needed it, the birthday where you expected no one to show and were surprised, the last conversation with someone who didn't make it into the next chapter. The perfume responds, not reacting, but sinking. It deepens, mellows, becomes more you. Historians have argued over the existence of the bath of liquid light for centuries. Some believe it was symbolic, an ancient Greek allegory for rebirth. Others swear it was a physical ritual practiced in secret rites dedicated to Aphrodite, used only by her chosen initiates. Regardless, the myth says no one enters and leaves. Unchanged, you feel it happening. The parts of you that once itched with insecurity soften. The doubts that used to jab at your ribs dissolve into the glow. Even your posture improves, subtly. Like the bath realigned your emotional spine, you submerge completely, just once, and when you emerge, your skin hums. There's a faint shimmer. Now, not glittery, but as if joy has become visible. The perfume vial sits on the edge of the bath now, glowing in perfect harmony with the light. It's finished, yes, but now it's charged. You step out, and a soft breeze wraps around you. It doesn't dry you so much as lift the light off your skin, like dew off a leaf. You don't need the silk robe anymore. Your essence is your covering now. Petho waits at the door, holding a small cloth embroidered with your initials, ones you didn't give her. Of course, you dab your face and the towel sighs like it's just been part of something meaningful. Maybe it has. Petho tilts her head. You're ready. For what? For presence, she says, the kind that walks into a room and changes it. You look down at your hands. They glow faintly. The perfume bottle floats to your side, hovering like it's learned to orbit you. You feel warm but not overheated, light but anchored. You don't smell like roses or vanilla or sandalwood. You smell like clarity. You step forward and the doors open on their own. The scent moves with you now, no longer trailing behind, but surrounding you, protective, defining. Petho, ever the narrator of chaos and elegance, smiles. The liquid light always reveals what's true. And what's true now, my dear, is that you have become someone unforgettable. You walk forward, into the next space. You're not who you were at the start. You've bathed in light, bottled your heart, and clothed yourself in myth. And this story, it's just beginning to bloom. The door ahead shimmers as it opens, not in a dramatic, deity-level explosion of sparkles, but more like a curtain of mist, parting gently, as if it's not sure you're ready, but agrees to trust you anyway. You step through lighter than you've ever felt. Not physically, though that too, your feet barely make a sound. Your robe of liquid light practically floats, but lighter inside. Like something heavy has been lifted, or maybe accepted. You enter a room that doesn't quite make sense. It's circular, yet feels infinite. No walls, but definitely boundaries. You're surrounded by the soft hum of dreams, the kind that linger when you first wake up, unsure if they were real. A bed of moss, a sky of velvet, and in the middle a raised platform made of onyx and glass, and on it someone sleeps. Well, not someone. You, or a version of you. Petho, appearing as if conjured from the scent of expensive candles and better. Decisions, steps beside you. She's quieter now, her usual smirk replaced with something gentler, thoughtful. This, she says, gesturing toward the sleeping figure, is where we keep the dreams. You blink. My dreams? She nods. The ones you forget, the ones you rewrite, the ones that try to tell you what you already know. You approach slowly. The sleeping version of you looks peaceful, but not passive. Their hands twitch occasionally, as if chasing something through dreamland. You can hear faint whispers rising from the platform, fragments of past longings, unfinished sentences, names spoken once and then swallowed forever. Petho hands you a small crystal sphere. Inside, mist swirls in lazy, elegant spirals. This is where the perfume's final note comes from, she says. It's the dream ingredient. You look down at the orb. So I just... What? Remember a dream? She smiles, like a cat about to watch someone chase a laser pointer. No, you enter one. Before you can argue, the orb pulses, and a tendril of mist curls around your wrist. You barely have time to think before the room fades, gently this time, like falling into a feather. Pillow soaked in chamomile tea. You blink and find yourself elsewhere, a beach at night. But not any beach you've ever been to. The sand is a soft shade of silver. The waves crash in slow motion, leaving behind lines of glowing foam. The stars overhead flicker like candles in a too-quiet room. A figure waits near the shore. You walk toward them, sand crunching softly beneath your feet. The figure is hazy, familiar. They don't speak, but they hold out their hand, and you know what they're offering. A memory, not a big one, not some epic tragedy or whirlwind romance, just a tiny moment, a breath. You take it, and suddenly, you remember, sitting in a car with someone you loved, not speaking, just listening to music and thinking, this is enough. The dream shifts. You're in a hallway. A party hums behind closed doors. You're about to knock, but you don't. You walk away, and you never stopped wondering, what if? The dream changes again. A room filled with letters you never sent. Every envelope sealed with something unsaid. You don't read them. You just feel them, and then it's over. You wake, not in your bed, not on the platform, but still standing in the dream chamber. Petho is beside you, a look of something approaching awe on her face. In your hand, the orb now pulses steadily, and filled with a new color, one you can't name. It smells like the back of a neck, like hope you were afraid to voice. Petho exhales. That's the note, the one she can't make on her own. It only comes from dreaming what you didn't say. Out loud, you place the orb near your perfume vial. They merge, light and scent folding into each other like two lovers who finally stopped pretending to be friends. The perfume glows once more, brighter, bolder. It no longer smells like something made to impress. It smells like something made to remember. Petho places a hand on your shoulder. Most people don't like that last note. It's too honest. You meet her gaze. And yet, it's the part that lasts. She smiles. Exactly. Behind you, the chamber begins to dissolve. Your dream self fades content. The scent of memory fills the air, soft and lingering. You've harvested flowers, light, sound, reflection. Now you've harvested your forgotten dreams, and with them, the perfume is complete, emotionally, spiritually, mythically. And Aphrodite, she's waiting for the final reveal. You step out of the dream chamber feeling like you've aged in reverse. There's a buoyancy to your stride now, as though memory has stopped pulling you down and started lifting you instead. The perfume at your side pulses gently with each step, now more companion than object. The scent has deepened into something rare, elegant, human, divine. Pytho leads you toward the mountains that cradle the outer edge of Aphrodite's sanctuary. You didn't know there were mountains. That's kind of the theme here. This place unfolds for you only as you become ready for it. The air grows cooler, scented with herbs and something sharper. Wild mint, crushed laurel, distant rain. The sky above shifts into a sleepy mauve, dotted with flocks of birds flying in patterns that resemble cursive love letters never delivered. You glance sideways. Where exactly are we going? Pytho points upward. To find Zephyrus, you blink. The west wind? She nods. Aphrodite's favorite delivery boy. You climb a gentle path that winds through tall, pale trees, whose leaves rustle in actual sentences. You catch one fragment. She chose the unspoken again, and decide not to ask. At the peak of the trail, you arrive at a wide plateau, bathed in golden light. There's no sun, just ambiance. A soft breeze begins to stir, carrying with it the scent of far-off places. It smells like lavender fields in bloom, like ocean spray and lemons still on the branch. It's the smell of wanting to be somewhere else and almost getting there. Then he appears, Zephyrus, not from the sky, as you expect, but from the shadows between two cypress trees. He's tall, lean, barefoot. His robes ripple constantly, though there's no wind near him. His hair is made of movement, his eyes two perfect midnights. He grins like someone who already knows the joke and might tell you, if you're lucky. "You're the one with the scent," he says, voice smooth as sea glass. "I could smell you from the bay." You nod, not sure what the appropriate greeting is for an elemental breeze. "I think I'm supposed to give you a leaf." Zephyrus laughs, warm and low. "Yes, but not just any leaf. Her leaf." Pytho hands you a small sprig of something delicate and silver-veined. It shimmers like it remembers every hand that's ever touched it. "From the high mountains of Cyprus," she says, "only grows where longing meets sunlight." You offer the leaf to Zephyrus. He takes it carefully, almost reverently, and tucks it into the folds of his robe. "Perfect," he says. "Now the perfume will have wings." He raises his hands, and suddenly the wind changes. It rises, not howling, but lifting. It plays through your hair, your sleeves, your bracelet, tugging at the perfume vial as if asking permission. Zephyrus steps closer and sniffs, gently, just once, and then he exhales. Not at you. Into the air. The scent releases, not the perfume itself, no, not yet, but a whisper of it, a forecast, a suggestion. The breeze grabs it, spirals it upward, outward, beyond. Zephyrus sighs. She'll feel that. Pytho crosses her arms. She'll... No. You turn to her. Did we just send a scented message to Aphrodite? Technically, she says, you just reminded a goddess of something she thought she'd forgotten. You look back at Zephyrus. He's now walking the perimeter, Of the plateau, arms out, speaking softly to the wind. Names, perhaps. Destinations. Wishes. You can't quite hear. You're not supposed to. Suddenly, your bracelet pulses. Hard. Pitho's face shifts. Ah. He's whispering. To me. She nods. He's telling you where to go next. But it won't sound like directions. It'll sound like longing. You close your eyes. The wind wraps around you now, not like a storm, but like a secret. You hear it. Not words, ideas, an orchard in bloom, a letter left unsent, a promise made under moonlight, and one image clear as perfume on skin, a rose blooming in reverse, its petals drawing inward, hiding a single drop of golden dew. You open your eyes. Zephyrus is gone. Just like that. The wind stills, the mountain quiets, and Pitho steps closer. He gave you a path, she says softly. Now you have to follow it. To what? She smiles. To the reflection that doesn't agree with you. Cryptic as always, but your perfume glows warmer, stronger, and somewhere beyond mountains and mist Aphrodite waits, watching the wind, inhaling the first whisper of what you've become. You descend the mountain with the scent of the west wind still clinging to your skin, cool and curious, like someone watching you from the next room, but too shy to say hello. The perfume now pulses softly, not urgently, just persistently. It's no longer a bottle of fragrance. It's a compass with opinions. Pitho doesn't follow you down. You don't need me for this next part, she says with a smirk, lounging on a rock like she invented reclining. Just try not to lie to yourself. The place you're heading doesn't like that. You raise an eyebrow. That's, specific. She only grins. You'll see. You continue alone, the path winding down into a dense grove where everything seems a little too symmetrical. The trees align perfectly, the shadows fall in satisfying patterns. The moss is suspiciously photogenic. It's like walking through someone's curated memory, beautiful but eerie in its precision. And then the grove opens. You're standing before a mirror, not mounted, not framed, just there, floating in the air like it sprouted from the earth. And learned patience. It's oval, impossibly tall, rimmed with faint gold mist. You approach cautiously. The reflection is clear. Disturbingly clear. It's you, except it's not. Your reflection blinks a heartbeat before you do, tilts its head just a little too far, smiles when you aren't smiling. It doesn't mimic. It evaluates. You realize with a tiny jolt that this is Aphrodite's mirror of intention. According to myth, it doesn't show how others see you or even how you see yourself. It shows how your heart wants to be seen. And sometimes that version doesn't match reality. Historians still debate its origin. Some say Hephaestus created it to spy on her. Others argue she conjured it herself as a warning against vanity. Most agree no one leaves unchanged. You step closer, the mirror ripples, not like water, more like memory. Your reflection lifts its chin, gazes directly at you, and raises a single eyebrow. A challenge. Then it speaks, not with words, but with presence. Thoughts arrive, clear and undeniable. Why do you wear beauty like armor? You blink. The perfume warms at your side, swirling gently. The bracelet tightens, not painfully, but like a friend squeezing your hand when you don't want to. Dry in public, the reflection shifts. It becomes a version of you at your most adored. Hair perfect, smile magnetic, that energy that draws people in without trying. But then, slowly, it peels back. The smile fades. The posture sags. The version underneath is tired, tender, real. The mirror offers no critique, just honesty. You step even closer. Your reflection now shows moments instead of faces. A hand held too long. A compliment given too late. A time you laughed just to fill the silence. These aren't regrets, they're truths. The perfume pulses again, and the mirror asks again, not in words, but with quiet intensity. What if beauty wasn't a performance? You exhale. For a moment you consider turning away, but then you do something different. You reach out, not to touch the glass, but to your own reflection. You place your hand gently in front of its heart, and your reflection does the same. Titin. Mirror accepts. A shimmer runs through the surface like wind across a lake. And then, impossibly, your reflection leans forward, not to mimic, to speak. One word, enough, and then it vanishes, not dramatically, not in some thunderclap of divine revelation. It just fades. The mirror remains, but now it's empty. Ready for the next truth, you step back. The perfume has changed again. There's a clarity to it now, like sunlight on glass. The sweetness is tempered, the warmth deeper. You didn't add a new ingredient in this room. You refined the existing. Outside, the grove shudders gently, as if the trees were holding their breath and finally let it go. The path behind you is gone. Of course it is. A new path opens, narrow, winding, lined with faint lights that feel like memories waiting to be remembered. You walk forward, and somewhere far off, Aphrodite nods, not in approval, but in recognition. The path ahead hums faintly beneath your steps, not with music, but with something better. Anticipation. The lights lining the trail are small and float just above the ground, like bioluminescent secrets too gentle to speak aloud. You follow them without question. You're used to mystery now. Honestly, you're kind of thriving in it. The air shifts again, but not with scent this time, with texture. The wind carries a velvet hush. The trees bow slightly as you pass. And then you hear it. Laughter. High, bright, and unapologetically mischievous. You know that laugh. You step into a clearing just in time to see a puff of gold glitter burst in midair, followed by a tiny winged figure cackling so hard he nearly drops. His bow, it's Eros, son of Aphrodite, god of love, agent of chaos, and apparently a prankster with impeccable timing. He hovers a few feet above the ground, tiny wings flapping like they're fueled by Red Bull and romantic frustration. His hair is tousled, his cheeks pink, and his smile, the kind that says, "I did something and I'm definitely not sorry." He sees you and immediately doubles over, laughing again. "Oh no, you're the one with the perfume. Oh, this is going to be fun." You cross your arms. Define fun. He twirls in the air. Aphrodite said it was too serious, too emotionally mature. She sent me to, shake things up. You glance at your perfume bottle. It's glowing calmly, like an emotionally stable adult in therapy. Eros zips forward and sprinkles something on you. You don't dodge fast enough. It's glitter. Of course, not just any glitter. You feel it instantly, like bubbles popping inside your chest. Suddenly, your perfume shifts. The sweetness flares. The brightness amps up. It now smells like first crushes and questionable flirting techniques, like impulsive text messages and hearts drawn in the margins of notebooks. Love dust, he explains, makes everything a little more stupid. You narrow your eyes. And this helps how? Eros shrugs midair. balance. Aphrodite's perfume can't just be heartbreak and hidden truths. It needs a little recklessness, a dash of chaos. A poorly timed "I miss you" text. The bracelet tightens on your wrist, not in protest, in agreement. You sigh, fine. You let it settle. The perfume shifts again, this time not just in scent, but in tone. There's still clarity, but now there's charm. A sparkle of foolishness, a scent that says, I might regret this, but I'm doing it anyway. Eros floats back, arms crossed smugly. Much better. A dove swoops down, pecks his head, then flutters off. Apparently, even divine messengers have limits. He grins at you. Want to test it? You raise a brow. Test it how? He snaps his fingers, and a series of small memory bubbles float around you. Each one shows a person from your past, lovers, crushes, random strangers who once held your gaze for a moment too long on public transit. He gestures grandly. Pick one. Let's see what the perfume pulls from them. You hesitate, then point at a memory. The bubble pops gently, releasing a soft pink mist. You inhale, and suddenly you remember. Not everything, just a spark. The way their eyes crinkled, when they smiled. The warmth of their hand, even just once. The scent catches it, memorizes it, and weaves it in. That, Eros says, is the top note, the one that draws people in, the one that makes them ask, where have I smelled this before? You look down at the perfume bottle. It's practically humming now, full, balanced, impossible to pin down. Eros dusts off his hands. Well, my work here is done. Try not to cry or start texting people you shouldn't. But if you do, at least you'll smell amazing. And with that he's gone, vanished in a puff of rose gold giggles and feathers. The clearing falls quiet again, except for the subtle fizz of whatever chaos he left behind. You stand there, alone, but not lonely. The perfume is complete, not because it's perfect, because it's real. You walk forward toward the next chamber, where time itself will stop to listen. You leave the glitter-fogged chaos of Eros's clearing behind, the perfume now swirling with playful energy and emotional clarity. It's no longer a mere fragrance, it's an experience, equal parts wisdom and whimsy. You're not sure if you're about to receive divine affirmation, or suddenly feel compelled to write a vulnerable poem in a group chat. Either way, it smells fantastic. The next path is silent, save for the soft crackling of leaves underfoot, leaves that seem to vanish the moment you step past them, like they know they've fulfilled their dramatic purpose. Up ahead, a soft arch, carved from pale marble curves into a doorway so subtle it might be an illusion. A breeze nudges you forward. You step inside. Everything stops. No wind. No scent, no sound. This is the chamber of suspension. The room is vast and circular, its dome ceiling painted with constellations that subtly shift in place. In the center, a dais. Above it hovers an hourglass made of clear crystal and stardust, mid-flip, yet unmoving. Time here has been paused. Not for eternity, just for you. This is where the final test begins. You approach the dais and instinctively place the perfume bottle onto its surface. The crystal base lights up, and for a moment nothing happens. Then a ripple, the hourglass turns itself, and time stops. You don't freeze. You still move, breathe, blink. But everything else, the drifting stars, the flickering torches, the motes of dust in the air, pauses. It's like reality has been muted, and you've been placed inside a thought. The scent from the bottle begins to rise, but this time it doesn't swirl aimlessly. It targets. A thin thread of scent, drifts toward the hourglass and wraps around it like a question looking for its answer. The sand inside, once frozen, begins to glow, and then visions, not dreams, not memories, echoes. You see people pausing mid-step in faraway markets, lovers hesitating before saying goodbye, a woman placing her hand over her heart for no reason, as if remembering someone she hasn't met. The perfume has escaped time, and it's moving backward, forward, outward. You watch as the scent enters. Moments, intimate, mundane, profound, and alters them subtly. It's not magic. It's memory, enhanced, amplified. A man picks up a scarf on a bench and holds it for just a beat longer. A child breathes in the breeze and smiles without knowing why. A painter, halfway through a canvas, changes the color he was about to use. Each of them has encountered a whisper of you, because the scent holds you now, your intentions, your desires, your confusion, joy, clarity, contradictions. Everything poured into the bottle is being released in echoes. You're becoming a note in the symphony of the world. Then silence again. The hourglass empties. Time resumes. The ripple of returning motion sweeps through the chamber like a gentle exhale. The torches flicker again. The stars resume their orbit. And you feel still, in a good way. Petho appears beside you silently, because of course she does. "Well," she says after a beat, "that was more dramatic than I expected." You glance at her. "What just happened?" She gestures vaguely at the air. The perfume paused time to ask the universe a question. Does this matter? And the universe answered yes. The bottle glows softly now, no longer shifting or humming. It's content, complete. You lift it, and something inside you shifts with it. Not like a transformation, more like alignment. The moment when a note lands exactly where it should in a song. The place where truth stops being elusive and becomes familiar. Petho steps back. Aphrodite is ready. You nod, and the doors ahead, tall, gilded, etched with swirls of pearl and flame, begin to open. You're not carrying a perfume anymore. You're carrying a presence, and the goddess of love is waiting to breathe it in. The doors part with the slow grace of silk unraveling, revealing a room that doesn't immediately register as room so much as a shift in reality. It isn't large, yet it holds vastness. It isn't lit, yet it glows. And in the center of space, of attention, of everything, sits Aphrodite. No throne, no fanfare. Just a platform of sea-polished stone, and the goddess reclining on cushions like she was sculpted from starlight and sea foam. Her hair falls in loose waves, her eyes half-lidded, not from boredom but from the contentment of someone who knows the power of being watched. And oh, she's watching you. Not in judgment, not even curiosity, in recognition. "Finally," she says, and her voice hurls around you like steam from a warm cup held too close to your face. "You've arrived." You approach slowly, perfume vial in hand, suddenly aware of every heartbeat. Aphrodite doesn't move. She doesn't need to. The room shapes itself around her attention. She nods to the bottle. "May I?" You extend it. To her, she doesn't grab. She accepts. The bottle floats from your hand into hers with all the ceremony of a galaxy aligning. She holds it up to the light, though again there's no actual light source here. Just glow. Divine ambiance. She uncaps the vial and inhales. The reaction is subtle, but unmistakable. Her lips part. Her shoulders relax, her eyes close for just a beat longer than necessary, and then she smiles. Not the curated, seductive smile statues always get wrong, but something quieter, warmer, older. She opens her eyes. "It's not what I expected," she says. "It's better." You blink. "Better how?" She stands now, slowly, like a sunrise peeling itself from the horizon. The perfume remains hovering at her side. "It doesn't just smell like beauty," she explains. "It smells like intention, like risk, like remembering something you tried very hard to forget and deciding it was worth the ache." She walks a slow circle around you, barefoot, her gown shifting from silk to mist, and back again with every step. It smells like laughter in the wrong place, like almost crying during a perfume ad, like deciding to forgive someone because it's more romantic than holding a grudge. She pauses behind you, placing one hand gently on your shoulder. "It smells like you." You inhale. The air is thick with memory now, not hers, not the gods'. Yours, moments you collected, feelings you didn't name, dreams you distilled into fragrance. Aphrodite steps back and turns to face you fully. "You've made something rare," she says. "A scent that doesn't just attract, it echoes." She lifts the bottle and places it gently on a pedestal beside her. The pedestal accepts it like a relic. A new myth has entered the archive. Then she does something unexpected. She reaches for your wrist, not to examine the bracelet, to hold your hand. "I've had many perfumes," she says. "Oils pressed from sacred petals, fragrances steeped in divine promises. But this," she lifts your hand to her heart, "this reminds me of myself." You swallow something that wants to be tears but settles for awe. "Most mortals want to copy beauty," she continues. "But you contributed to it. You joined it. You made it personal." She releases your hand and steps aside. Behind her, another doorway opens. But this one leads not to another chamber, not to a garden or a mirror. It leads out, back to the world, back to life, back to wherever it is people go after touching the divine and surviving. "You can stay," she offers, "or you can leave." You glance back at the perfume. You remember every step, every bloom, every memory distilled, and you smile. "I'd like to share it." Aphrodite nods as if she'd already known your answer. "Then go." And just like that, the goddess turns away, not dismissively, but with trust, because you're not her guest anymore. You're part of her story. You step toward the threshold, and the scent of everything you've become follows you like a promise. You cross the threshold and step into a space that feels familiar, but utterly transformed. It's the same realm you walked through before, gardens, corridors, hovering petals. But now it moves with you. The colors tilt toward your emotions. The air carries your personal cadence. You're no longer navigating Aphrodite's world. You've left your footprint on it. And as you walk, something strange and wonderful happens. You meet a mortal. Not in the mythic way, not in a ball of light or a prophetic dream sequence. No, you find them in the courtyard, where a path curls beside a lily-covered pool, quietly studying their reflection in the water. They're young, but not in age, in openness, the kind of youth that hasn't yet been ruined by too many unanswered messages. They look up and blink, startled by your presence. They can smell you. You see it on their face, the way their eyes widen slightly, their shoulders relax, their breathing slows. They're not just catching a scent. They're recognizing something. You walk toward them. They tilt their head. What is that? You smile. A perfume. They shake their head. No, I mean it smells like something I should remember but can't. You nod. That's the point. The two of you sit in silence for a while, watching the petals drift on the surface of the pool. A soft breeze carries the perfume's warmth toward them again, and they close their eyes, and then they say something quietly. I think I loved someone once. I didn't realize it until just now. You don't answer. You don't need to. Because the perfume is doing its work. You stand to leave, and as you do, they reach out and gently touch your arm. What's it called? They ask. You pause, think, and finally say, it doesn't have a name, just a story. They nod, slowly, reverently, and you walk away, perfume trailing behind you like a whispered invitation. Later you'll pass others, a pair of strangers who touch hands for the first time and smile too long. A gardener who suddenly remembers the name of the person who once gave them lilies. A musician who, inspired by your scent, begins a melody they won't be able to finish until they fall in love. None of them know your name, but they feel you because the perfume isn't just fragrance anymore. It's essence, it's residue, it's emotional architecture, and now it's spreading. You enter the outer garden, where the horizon tilts upward, like the world is lifting its face to greet you. From above you see doves circling. One dives low, brushes your shoulder with its wing, then flutters upward, trailing the scent like a thread through the clouds. The bottle is no longer at your side, but you don't need it. You've become the scent. A breath, a memory, a sensation that others. Jason never quite explain. And Aphrodite, she watches from the tower smiling, not because she owns your story, but because you now carry a piece of hers. As you move through the outer edge of Aphrodite's domain, something begins to shift, not in the environment, but in you. It's not dramatic. No lightning bolts, no sudden gasp of divine revelation, just a quiet understanding settling behind your ribs. The perfume, once a project, a quest, an artifact, is now indistinguishable from your presence. You don't wear it. You are it. And that, it turns out, changes how the world reacts to you. You enter a quiet chamber you don't remember walking toward. It's small, circular. A vanity sits in the center, not grand or gilded, but simple, bone-white stone and a mirror carved from moonlight. You sit. The mirror doesn't show your face. It shows everyone who smelled you, a carousel of expressions. People you've met, people you passed in silence. Even people you never spoke to, only stood beside once in a coffee shop queue or brushed past on a narrow street. Their faces flicker across the mirror one by one, pausing just long enough for you to catch their expression. Recognition. A quiet smile. A breath caught in the chest. Some look confused, like they just remembered a dream. Others look brave. You touch the edge of the mirror. It pulses and a final image appears. You're not the curated version, not divine or dramatic, just you, tired, awake, real. You don't smile, you don't pose, you exist, and that, the mirror seems to say, is the most fragrant truth of all. You rise and walk to a nearby shelf, this one filled not with bottles, but with feathers. Each one from a dove that carried part of the perfume into the world. One feather glows faintly, humming a note you recognize from the song of the lotus. It calls to you. You lift it, and instantly, memory floods in. A moment you didn't realize was shared. A time someone caught your scent, felt something shift and made a decision. To call, to leave, to try again, to forgive. This perfume isn't a signature, it's a permission slip for feeling, remembering, connecting. You set the feather into a tiny crystal dish. It flashes once, then dissolves into mist. A scroll appears where it sat. You open it, it reads, "The scent that touches the world must first touch the self." You are no longer collecting memories. You are releasing them. Petho appears beside you once more. This time she doesn't smirk, doesn't tease. She places her hand gently over yours. "You've done what even gods struggle with," she says. You let yourself be known. You don't speak. There's nothing left to prove. The vanity begins to fade. The mirror dissolves. The scroll crumbles into golden dust. You follow Petho out into a garden where every bloom bends slightly toward you, like flowers greeting the sun. The path leads upward into soft mist, into air that smells like possibility. She turns to you one last time. Next stop, the labyrinth. You pause. A labyrinth under a vanity table? She grins again. The Petho you know, and roll your eyes at. You didn't think this journey would stay linear, did you? You step forward, the perfume steady at your core, and descend into the part of the story no one ever talks about. What happens after you become a myth? The staircase winds downward, narrow and silent, lit by soft orbs embedded in the walls, like pearls tucked into sandstone. Each step hums beneath your feet, not with music, but with memory. The perfume you carry, your presence really, seems to press gently against the walls, leaving a trail of scent that resonates faintly behind you, like a chime in the dark. You reach the bottom. The air is cooler here, thicker. You stand before an arched doorway carved into the stone. Above it, no inscription, no title, just the outline of a feather etched so faintly it looks like breath caught in marble. You enter the labyrinth beneath Aphrodite's vanity. Yes, it's real. No, it doesn't make logical sense, and that's the point. This is the labyrinth of longing. According to one rarely cited myth, Aphrodite created this place not to trap, but to reveal. It's not designed to keep people lost. It's designed to show them what they're chasing, what they run toward, what they run from. You step inside and feel the shift immediately. The walls shimmer and rearrange. The path behind you vanishes. Classic. Ahead, the floor glows faintly, forming stepping stones that only appear when you take the next step. And as you move, the scent around you changes, with each breath a new aroma. First, rain on warm pavement, the smell of arrival. Next, freshly cut grass, the scent of something ending, but peacefully. Then, smoke and sea salt, danger mixed with desire. You turn a corner and find yourself in a corridor lined with mirrors, dozens of them, tall and narrow, each reflecting a different version of you. One is younger, one older, one dressed for a life you never lived. Another smiles at you, exhausted but full of quiet victory. And one mirror, it's empty. You step in front of it and see nothing, not darkness, not absence, just a soft shifting, shimmer like heat rising off asphalt, or the blurred edges of a memory you're trying too hard to hold on to. You tilt your head, so does the shimmer. But it's not mimicking you, it's considering you. Then the mirror exhales. You step back, startled as a faint puff of scent escapes the glass. Soft, sweet, with an edge of something sharp. The smell of lilac wrapped around a paper cut. Familiar but complicated. Petho's voice echoes behind you, though she's nowhere in sight. That's the reflection that doesn't agree with you. Ah, right. The one Zephyrus warned you about. You reach out instinctively, touching the surface of the mirror. It resists, not like glass, like memory. And then you're pulled in. No spinning, no vertigo, just a blink. Now you're inside a room you recognize. It could be your childhood bedroom, your first apartment, a borrowed hotel room from a weekend that didn't go as planned. It shifts constantly, memory bleeding into memory. You're alone, but not quite. Across from you sits someone. It's you, not a clone, not a trick. Just you, from the inside out. The version of you that remembers everything you tried to leave. Behind, they speak first. You've worn masks, built stories, crafted fragrance from fragments. You nod. I know, but this one? They ask, gesturing toward the now floating perfume bottle between you. This is real, isn't it? You meet your own gaze and answer with something new. Yes. They smile, not with pride, not with sadness, with relief. The bottle hovers between you both, pulsing faintly. And then, the other you disappears, not in a tragic, dramatic poof, just becomes you again. You feel it settle inside, whole, imperfect, grounded. You're not leaving parts of yourself behind anymore. The labyrinth begins to shift. The walls pull away, like curtains, revealing an open garden at the center. A stone pedestal waits there, and on it, a single feather. Unlike the others, this one shines gold, edged in pink. You lift it. It smells like resolution. You tuck it behind your ear, and the labyrinth responds. A new door opens, not back to Aphrodite's realm, but forward. The exit is lit by moonlight and stardust. Pytho appears one final time, leaning against the frame. You've passed through longing, she says. Now go walk through becoming. You take a deep breath. The perfume at your side doesn't just glow, it sings. And you step into the next chapter, where memory, scent, and truth follow every footstep like a hymn. You step out of the labyrinth and into a space so still, it feels like the pause before. An orchestra begins to play. The stars above don't twinkle, they watch. The ground beneath your feet is soft, silvery grass that feels like walking across quiet applause. Every sound is velvet. In the distance, a single pedestal stands in an open field of nothing. No trees, no walls, no distractions, just moonlight. The faint glimmer of dew and the pedestal. Upon it lies something you didn't expect. A feather, but not just any feather. It radiates with a gentle warmth, faintly iridescent. And though it's motionless, you swear it hums. Pytho's voice arrives again, not spoken but felt. That is the first swan's feather. You blink. The first? Legend says the first swan gave up its wings in exchange for beauty, that it traded flight for grace. This feather is what was left behind, a single note of freedom, disguised as elegance. You step closer. The scent shifts around you, adapting, responding. It's different now, no longer a dance of opposites or a tug of war between longing and clarity. It's harmony. You pick up the feather. Instantly, it dissolves into gold dust in your palm, sinking into your skin, and for a moment you remember every time you chose stillness over escape. Every time you stayed. Every time you didn't run from beauty, even when it scared you. The perfume responds. It deepens. This note, freedom remembered, is the final one. But the journey isn't over. Ahead, a soft gust lifts the grass in waves. The wind is changing. You follow it toward a new space. This one carved from air and silk and suggestion. It has no walls, only curtains of scent that part as you move through them. Here, Aphrodite waits again. But she doesn't sit now. She stands, barefoot, beside a basin carved from rose quartz. Her hair is unbound, her expression soft. She looks at you, not like a goddess, but like someone who has been exactly where you've been. "You've finished," she says gently. You nod. She gestures toward the basin. "Then we dress the wind." You raise an eyebrow. "With what?" "With you." The wind arrives, a whisper first, then a presence. Not rough, not forceful. Curious, expectant. Aphrodite uncaps your perfume vial one final time. The scent, your scent, rises in elegant spirals. It's no longer chaotic. It doesn't shimmer wildly or burn too bright. It moves like a story that knows how to end well. She dips a silk cloth into the perfume, lifts it carefully and hands it to you. "Go ahead." You step forward. The wind bows, and you dress it with scent, with memory, with you. The cloth flutters through the air, wrapping the breeze, gifting it weightless history. The perfume clings, then releases. The wind swirls once, then lifts, upward, outward, free. Aphrodite watches it go, and turns to you. "It's carried now," she says. "To lovers who've lost, to poets without a metaphor, to children whose hearts just broke for the first time." You don't answer. You don't need to. You feel the wind tug at your hair, playful and light, scented with everything you are. And then it's gone, but not lost. Released. The wind carries your scent across the sky, and for a while you just stand there, watching it move like a ribbon of memory. Aphrodite doesn't speak. Neither do you. The silence is generous, like an old friend offering space instead of advice. Eventually, she steps beside you. "There's one more ingredient," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "One final note that only you can add." You turn toward her, surprised. "What's left?" She gestures to a simple pedestal nearby, carved from white marble veined with copper. On it rests a small crystal vial, empty. "This one," she says, "holds the secret." You approach slowly. The vial pulses faintly, as if aware of your hesitation. Aphrodite continues. "It's not a scent, not a flower, not a memory." She looks you in the eye. "It's a name." You blink. "A name?" She nods. "The one you forgot. The one you lost. The one you gave away too soon." It hits you in the chest like a soft thunderclap. You know what she means. A name you once carried. Maybe it belonged to you, maybe to someone else. But it shaped you. And when it slipped away, it left a space behind. A space you've been trying to fill ever since. The perfume bottle, the real one, the original, hovers to your side, silent, waiting. Aphrodite watches you gently. This perfume is not complete until you decide what it means to you, and that meaning, it needs a name. You close your eyes. It's not easy. Names carry weight. They hold stories, echoes, wounds. But in the stillness, one begins to rise. Not shouted, not forced, just remembered. A name that once made you feel more you than anything else ever did. You whisper it. The vial responds instantly. The perfume pulses once, strong, sure, settled. The scent around you shifts again. This time it doesn't change in notes or layers. It changes in depth. It anchors. This is the scent of truth known, of identity reclaimed, of something lost, then found in the quiet corner of your own story. The vial fills with light. The perfume is now complete. Aphrodite steps forward, reaching out, not to take it, but to bless it. She brushes one finger along the surface of the vial, and a soft hum fills the air. "It remembers now," she says. "Not just you, but what you chose to carry forward." You hold the vial close. It's not just perfume anymore, it's declaration, it's reclamation. Aphrodite gestures toward the horizon, where the wind, now dressed in scent and name, has curled into the distance. Your scent will meet those who need it most, she says, and some will recognize it, even if they don't know why. You nod, and then you ask, "Is that it?" She smiles. "Not quite. You still have one choice left." A new path opens beside you, softly lit, lined with petals that drift in mid-air. It leads not to a temple or garden, but to a mirror. Your mirror, the one that will hold your fragrance long after you're gone. "Do you want to place your scent in the archive?" she asks. "To be remembered?" You pause, not from uncertainty, but from reverence. You turn toward the path, your final note in hand. You've chosen your name, and with it, the perfume remembers everything. The path to the mirror archive is unlike anything you've walked before. It doesn't wind or climb. It flows, like a thought becoming form, like memory agreeing to be remembered. The petals that drift through the air are not from any flower you've seen. They shimmer like fragments of conversations long since forgotten. Sweet, unresolved, familiar. You walk slowly, not because you're uncertain, but because this part deserves slowness. Ahead, the mirror waits, tall, oval, framed by ivy woven with silver. It stands in a room with no roof, only stars, and the floor beneath your feet reflects the sky so perfectly that every step feels like walking across constellations. Pytho appears again, silent for once, a respectful shadow just behind your shoulder. You stop before the mirror. It doesn't show your reflection, not yet. Instead, it displays a swirling mist, the perfume itself, suspended in visual form. It dances in layered hues, gold for memory, blush for desire, blue for forgiveness, violet for the name you reclaimed. At its center, the faintest pulse of white, the soul note. The mirror speaks, not aloud, but with presence. Do you wish to be remembered? You consider the question. It's not as simple as yes or no. To be remembered means to be seen. To be archived means to be offered to strangers, but also to become part of the weave. You nod. The mirror responds by opening, not like a door, but like a breath. It inhales your scent, your story, your name, and with a ripple, your fragrance becomes part of the collection. Tiny orbs of light flicker to life around the mirror. Other bottles, other names, other stories preserved here in scent. You see titles, not spoken aloud, a scent for goodbye, the perfume of unfinished sentences, desire daydreamed and dismissed, each one a myth, each one a heartbeat. Your bottle, still warm, still humming, settles gently onto a floating shelf, cushioned by a circle of petals that weren't there a moment before. Above it your name appears, written in light, not carved, not burned, grown. You feel something lift from your shoulders, the need to explain, the pressure to be perfect, the quiet ache of being only partly known. Gone. Pytho places a hand over her heart. You've been recorded. It sounds simple, but you know it isn't. Aphrodite appears beside the mirror, not stepping in, but unfolding into the space like the arrival of moonlight. She gazes at your bottle and smiles, not possessively, not as its creator, but as a fellow contributor to the archive. "You've done what I once feared," she says almost wistfully. "You made beauty that wasn't afraid to tell the truth." You step back, breathing deeply. The scent lingers, not from the bottle but from you. You are now the vessel. The bottle is simply the memory, of the becoming. Petho lifts an eyebrow. Ready to go home? You glance at the sky, then back at the mirror, then down at the petals brushing your feet, and you nod, not to say goodbye, but to say, I'm bringing this with me. Petho leads you from the archive in silence, not because there's nothing to say, but because everything has already been said. The path shifts once again, now familiar yet renewed, like a melody replayed in a different key. Each step away from the mirror is a step toward the world that waits for you outside this divine realm, scented not with jasmine or sandalwood, but with the quiet certainty of self. The scent of your journey no longer trails you like smoke. It walks beside you like a friend. It's not decoration, it's identity. As you move through the garden one last time, the blooms around you seem to lean in, curious. A lily brushes your wrist gently. A rose unfolds its petals slowly, releasing. A note you now recognize as courage. You smile. You've learned to read these scents, these signs. Petho stops beside a fountain, the same one where you first washed your hands, back before the journey had truly begun. The water still flows, but now you can smell what you missed before. Notes of renewal, of letting go, of beginning again. She turns to you, mischief sparkling in her eyes. So, she says, what will you do with all this? You pause. It's not rhetorical. I'll wear it, you say softly, not like armor, like memory. She nods. And when people ask what it is, you smile. I'll say it's complicated, just like me. Petho bursts out laughing, the sound as musical and irreverent as ever. Good! Don't give them easy answers. You've earned the luxury of being mysterious. The sky above shifts into a golden twilight. The horizon beckons. There's no grand gate, no curtain call, just an open stretch of earth where divine fades into mortal and myth becomes memory. Aphrodite appears again, no longer glowing quite so brightly. She's radiant still, but less like a statue, and more like someone you could sit beside on a porch swing and talk about bad dates and beautiful mistakes. She offers a simple vial. It's empty. You raise an eyebrow. It's for the next one, she says, because scent is infinite, and so are you. You take it. You turn to Petho, to Aphrodite, to the petals and the breeze, and the lessons folded into perfume and mirrors and names, and you say without hesitation, thank you, not for the gift, but for reminding you that you were always. The fragrance, you step toward the edge of the garden. The scent of leaving isn't bitter, it's soft. Clean, like linen dried in sun, like skin after laughter, like becoming. With grace, you don't look back, not out of defiance, but because the past is already with you, in every note, every breath, every part of you that now carries your own myth. The world greets you not with fanfare, but with stillness, the kind that knows something sacred has just passed through. The air feels different, charged with a quiet hum, as if the earth itself is adjusting to the new frequency you carry. You return not as the same person who entered Aphrodite's realm. You return scented, not just in fragrance, but in essence. You're not sure where you are geographically. The location is abstract, a crossroads of memory and possibility, but you recognize the feeling. This is the place where stories begin again. In your hand, the empty vial Aphrodite gave you catches the fading light and glows faintly. It's a promise, a blank page, a reminder that this perfume was not the end of your journey, but the beginning of your authorship. People will meet you now and pause. They won't know why. They'll just sense it. In a room, you'll arrive as a note before a name. In conversation, you'll linger like a scent they can't quite place. At moments of tenderness, your presence will remind others that something beautiful once existed, and still does. And maybe, one day, someone will inhale deeply near you and say, "You remind me of something I forgot I loved. That's the magic you carry now. Not in a bottle, in breath, in being." You walk forward through this new landscape, passing strangers who turn their heads. Without realizing, a child tugs their mother's hand and points to you. A dog wags its tail, confused but delighted. Someone behind a coffee shop counter smiles too long after you leave. You leave no trail. You are the trail. You remember the journey, how each note of your perfume was layered with truth. The lotus of desire, the scroll of history, the mirror of memory, the feather of longing. And finally, the name, your name, spoken in stillness, heard by the goddess, now etched into the fragrance of your very being. You find a quiet bench beneath a tree that's definitely not ordinary. It's flowering with blooms that seem to shimmer with shared memory. You sit, breathe, reflect. The air carries a note of something familiar, a soft citrus with a hint of sea breeze. It's Aphrodite's hello. She's not watching. She doesn't need to. She knows. And so do you. You've walked through vanity and come. Out the other side, not hollow, but full. Not fragrant because you wanted to be adored, but because you remembered what it means to be seen. And now you rest, the scent surrounds you like a lullaby sung only once, and perfectly. You close your eyes, and the world, scented by your story, keeps turning. Now, just rest. You've wandered through mirrors and memory, sifted through lotus petals and longing, laughed with Eros, and stood in silence with a goddess. You didn't just wear a perfume. You became one. So let that journey settle. Let the warmth of your scent, complex, whole yours, wrap around your shoulders like a soft blanket. There's no need to chase anything tonight. No need to rewrite or explain or perform. You've already been recorded in the archive of myth. Close your eyes and feel how the air remembers you, not just for your beauty, but for your truth. Each breath is softer now. The worries of the day, the clutter of thought, the distractions, they dissolve like mist in morning sun. All that's left is the echo of petals opening, of laughter shared, of a name whispered in sacred stillness. You are no longer seeking the divine. You're walking with it. Let that be enough. Let the quiet hold you. Let the dark be velvet and safe. And if a breeze touches your cheek tonight, let it remind you. You are unforgettable, and not because you tried, but because you allowed yourself to be. Sleep well, perfume of stories. You are already remembered.